The Bombers and the Bulldog heritage game. Darcy in the middle, Hill. Off hands Eagleton, got met solidly. And we have a convergence of players. We'll see a ball up here. Nathan Eagleton been in superb form for the Western Bulldogs in recent weeks.
He has, Brian, and he lines up on the wing against Mark Johnson, who's also having a very good season. That battle will be one to watch.
Hill, the clear palm down. Solomon got his own troubles with injury. Still playing on though, bravely. Hurd thought he might start at half-back. He's gone forward straight away. Mark Johnson, sliding handball out the back door to Welsh. His kick forward is really good. And Solomon has run all the way from the middle of the ground to get a resultant shot on goal, perhaps.
Speaking of matchups, Robert Murphy, who's been in outstanding form in recent weeks, and one of the best young players in the league, is matched up on James Hurd, although Hurd, he led him to the ball pretty comfortably on that occasion.
Dean Solomon, 7 goals, 14 this year, so not the sort of guy you want going to the line for you. And that is why he's put it across the face. They fly. Crediuk got a punch on it. Did pretty well on David Neitz last week, Stephen Crediuk, and a boundary throw-in bomber forward.
Would have liked to have seen maybe the Essendon red shorts coming back in this heritage weekend. Yeah, they were fantastic. Remember when colour TV first came in?
Nice and tight too.
Everyone went nuts on the different colours.
Nuts is a word.
Exactly. Speaking of Warwick Captain, he stormed out of the Swans team of the century, Jared. We'll hear more about that later on as Smith gets the ball out to Brown. Brown's kick wasn't a good one. He didn't look, and it's been marked by Peverill outside 50. Squares it up for Welsh, who had to go hard at the ball. He did it well. Now McPhee from 48 metres out and closing. It's on its way. That's the first of the afternoon. Down to McPhee. First blood to the Bombers.
They have had all the football early in the piece. The Bombers, the Western Bulldogs, just haven't been able to get their hands on it at this particular stage. Only 2 possessions for the Dogs, and the Essendon team have had 8. Got a good forward set up, very dangerous. Lloyd in the square. They've got Danny Jacobs from Cuberdo close by. Hurd across half forward with Bolton, and also a young Mark Bullen, who may be doing a defensive job on Rowan Smith, who's had a wonderful year at half-back for the Dogs.
First blood to the Bombers. McPhee, the smooth moving McPhee, goals. There is Luke Darcy, big job in front of him if the Bulldogs are to be super competitive today. Hill has done really well this year. Darcy out of the middle, the clearance complete. Dimittina went without it. There is McPhee playing on half-back. Wellman, so often the loose man in defence for the Bombers. Walsh and Mark Johnson combining there. Pretty ugly attempted kick, gave the Bulldogs a chance. Jen Siracusa dropped last week, back in this week. There is Mitch Hahn. Handball out. Advantage would have been paid if there were any.
Against James Hurd. It was just cannoning into the back of Mitch Hahn.
It's been a change on the wings very quickly. Peverill's gone on to Eagleton, and Mark Johnson's gone on to the City side of the ground, and he's been picked up by Shane Burrs.
And there's going to be a free kick back behind play by the looks of things.
A long way back, Eddie.
A long way back. It's going to go to Essendon, and the free kick will go to Hill.
Well, we'd love to say we had that sort of vision, but I don't think anyone would have been looking back there at that particular stage. So
there was umpire Woodcock who made the decision, and it appears, I can only guess, that that Luke Darcy was having a bit of a wrestle with him. Anyway, so in comes Hill from 48 metres out. He shins it forward, almost the mark. Well, that's another goal anyway. Lloyd kicks it. And the Bulldogs defence not up to them that occasion. Second for the Bombers.
Well, I don't even know whether they were up to it or not, Ed. We wouldn't be able to find out because they both tracked the footy. I mean, look at all the Bulldogs. 3 dogs go at Danny Jacobs, 4 dogs in the end. Just left their Essendon men. Now, at some stage, you've got to exercise a little bit of discretion. And Stephen Crediuk should have stayed back with Matty Lloyd and backed in 1 or even 2 at the most of his defenders.
Matty Lloyd gets goal number 63 for the year. Back in the middle. Brown's come into the middle for the Dogs with Dimittina to try and get a clearance, an effective one. Darcy, the high ball. There'll be a free kick going his way. Appealing for the 50. Nothing forthcoming there for Luke Darcy. Now in the forward 50, they've got Brad Johnson and Jordan McMahon, so plenty of speed down there. Goes in the Johnson direction, extends. Not successful overhead. McPhee tidies up the run of Fletcher. They look good, the Bombers, early, don't they? 2 early goals. And that was the first inside 50, I think, for the Bulldogs in the game. Well, they've played already in this game 5 minutes.
Yeah, they're looking excellent at the present time. I really like McPhee across that half back line. There's one goal already to the Bombers back line. We'll keep a tally of that. But he's one player I think that could embarrass the Dockers over the years.
Johnson knocked it forward. Gene Siracusa to the boundary line, stepped over. Bombers say, how about the intentional? Umpire says, throw it in.
Jordan McMahon playing on Dustin Fletcher at fullback. Yeah, he's got a fair job, Dustin. They wouldn't want to be putting the ball up on his head, that's for sure.
Skipper, and in the end it was Solomon who got the tap. Brown got it away. Dimartina breaks the tackle, does it well, thumps it up to the forward 50. Here comes the Bombers. McPhee got back, and McMahon was up against Fletcher, as you said, and well, they were just able to raffle it on that occasion. McPhee's kicked the goal, and that's his 4th possession to Solomon, who's had 3 as well. They're going well, the Bombers, and Wellman does it straight to his skipper in Hurd. Hurd gets it out further to Bullen. Bullen's kick was a beauty. Right to the man of the moment, Matthew Lloyd, out at full stretch. Critiak stuck the knee in his back to let him know he was there, but Matthew Lloyd, who's already kicked 1 and needs only 8 goals today to break Essendon's goal-kicking record of 575 held by the great Simon Madden. Well,
they can't go inside 50, the Western Bulldogs, high in the air like that when you've got Jordan McMahon and Dustin Fletcher. It's just not on. Ball comes out that quickly, finds its way into the hands of James Hurd, who moves towards the footy as well as anyone I think I've ever seen. He glides towards the football, quick hands off. And Matthew Lloyd, I think Stephen Crediel, if you're going to defend any side of Matthew Lloyd, you've got to try and deny him this side of the footy ground. We know he loves to lead out to this side to give himself left foot in. Devastating accuracy all year. Would be a very good chance from this distance.
So Matthew Lloyd, not used to having the breeze in his face here, so he was quite legitimate in throwing the old turf up in the air. Will it make it? It has. It somehow got through that pack of players, and Lloyd has kicked.
Free kick anyway.
Goal number 2.
Well, Matthew Lloyd got 2 goals on the board already. This is an area where the Dogs are a little bit vulnerable, Jared. Stephen Crediak's been a brave warrior over a long period of time, but I'm not quite sure he's going to be able to go with Matthew Lloyd.
Not sure he could have done much about that one though, Gary. It was pinpoint perfect, the pass, as were all the passes to bring the ball from McPhee's hands in defence right through until Lloyd.
Lloyd, superb in the opening minutes. Bulldogs haven't scored. Bombers 3 straight. Fletcher and McMahon, an interesting matchup up forward. Almost got to roll the ball along the ground in that case. Dimartina to McMahon. He got forward of his man. Sizzling ball in towards Johnson. 1 against 2. Look at the Bombers stream back in defence. Lots of them around it. Got time. Wellman just sets things up. He does it beautifully. Pembrell at half back. He's got Solomon on the vacant wing. Solomon may struggle to run the game out with that groin injury. Kicks to Hurd. Hurd, iffy little free kick. Nevertheless, it was there against Robert Murphy.
Double-edged sword this one. They lose a bit of run from Robert Murphy because he has to play so honestly on James Hurd. And at the moment, Hurd finding plenty of footy.
And McMahon is clearly being used as a 5th midfielder and trying to drag Fletcher away, but Fletcher will just play his own game across half-back and act as a sweeper.
Hurd into the hole looking for Bolton. West was aware of what was going on there. Free kick will be advantage now.
But no one
Nathan Brown, no one down there. Fletcher's there by himself, so they'll have to run the ball to Wade Skipper. Back to Brown. Now Brown can go for home. Fletcher got a piece of it, so it won't be a goal. Although Harrison's running on it, got boot the ball, did it nicely. And there is the classic case of the panic being set up by the Western Bulldogs there to score their first goal.
And I think that would be the strategy for the Bulldogs, to try and drag Fletcher up the ground and then kick it over his head. He's clearly like the wall of China when he plays the traditional defensive position, and McMahon was involved in that, as was Nathan Brown, who was pretty intelligent and just showed his class, just holding it up, not panicking, not blazing away, and a good goal to Skipper in the paddock.
So well played by the Bulldogs. Nathan Brown setting up the goal. And it's 12 points the difference. Oh, nice heavy clash there, and a free kick goes the way of Darcy. And good to see young Hill now starting to get amongst it. Last year there was a bit of criticism that he was a little bit green. Well, these days he puts that big knee straight up into the opponent's face. Kick around the body up towards Johnson. He just couldn't quite grab the handle of the ball there. Pepperell flicks it out wider still to Welsh. Welsh up the centre wing. Mark required, and feels very good around the ground. Gets the ball working now. Here's Cupido. Almost, well, take your pick. Out to Mark Johnson inside. Beautiful looking kick. And the mark has been taken there by Mark Bolton. And, boys, I was going to say earlier on, there was a transition that resulted in the free kick to James Hertford in the back. But at that stage, there were 3 or 4 Essendon players lined up on the wing closest to the camera, just ready to run, and they did it again.
Change of direction was super. It always helps when you do have those 2 or 3 players running, and if you give them time and space, this Essendon lineup, well, they'll inevitably pick out a target because they've got 5 or 6 forwards who can genuinely present to the footy. 12
marks to Essendon, none to the Bulldogs so far in the game, as in comes Bolton and kicks the 4th goal for Essendon.
Jared, I think you're absolutely right. I think the Western Bulldogs forwards are all playing up around half forward to try and leave all that space goal side. But what that also does is it means that you've got a whole host of Essendon players in and around the half-back line, and if a ball gets turned over or they get possession, well, they've got a head start already, and they're well on their way. And on the last few occasions, as Eddie pointed out, there's been 2 and 3 players on the rebound, so they've got to have a very defensive mindset as well.
Just the start the Bombers were looking for, hopefully for them to consolidate their spot in the top 8. Solomon, West, handball to Johnson, who's been moved into the midfield. The kick out in front of Brown was just brilliant, wasn't it? You could see it off the boot, and Brown has marked easily. That's
the difference in class players going forward, Jared, is they get full value for possession.
Well, I think if the Bulldogs aren't to be hammered today, that kick, the one into the forward line, has got to be absolutely pinpoint. If they just kick and blaze away, it's going to be turned over, and the Bombers in their recent history have just shown fundamentally they get most of their attacks coming from the back line, so it's just got to be held in.
46 goals, 40 this year, and that is an absolute shocker for Nathan Brown. He's kicked it out of bounds on the full. Let's go down to Anthony Mifflin, ground level.
Thanks, Brian. Well, marking power and height were Peter Rhodes' major concern coming into this game. As Eddie said, 12 marks to 1 in the opening few minutes of this game. Interesting to note the Bulldogs have 11 players unavailable, 8 of them over 190 centimetres.
Murphy does the interception from 50, needs to nail it, and he does. That's the way to make him pay. Robert Murphy, goal.
And it's also the way to play on a bloke like James Hird. You've got to take it up to Jimmy Hird. You've got to make him accountable. Just can't sit back and let him work away, and he'll end up doing the damage in front of goal at his end. He's now moved into the centre, so I'm not sure if Robert Murphy was his direct opponent then, but I think Murphy's going all the way with Hird. But that goal, Gary, all of a sudden it just equalises it, makes Jimmy Hird accountable.
Well, while the Bombers are leading on the scoreboard, the centre clearance is 5-0 in favour of the Western Bulldogs, and Darcy has 3 of those. They've got a senior line-up in there at the moment in Johnson, West, Darcy and Murphy. Ball knocked down. This time it's the Bombers through their old campaigner. Mercedes Robbins with a big leap. Went the spoil, could have easily marked. Disciplined staff. Smith out the corner of his eye. Saw Dimatina, but Peverill did really well defensively to keep the ball in front, give the Bombers another opportunity at half forward.
The centre clearance stat is really important. The Bombers often lose in the centre clearances and yet just dominate the match. Here's a great fly from Robbins, couldn't quite grab it for a candidate for Mark of the Year. But if you're going to win like that, you have got to win the ball from the centre. It has got to go to one of your teammates.
Hill and Darcy, neither got a hand on it. Eagle and Smith, long handball. G and Siracusa needs to be sure of the boot. Finds Harrison, who leads up nicely.
Fletcher got Brown now.
So the Bulldogs all of a sudden starting to look a little fluent as they move forward. Over the head of Johnson, turns Solomon around. Beautiful tapping, night side to hard. Johnson's been laid out behind the play there as well. That's Lucas from defence. Works it away and gets it out wide.
Yeah, got cleaned up. Fletcher, I think, got him. Nothing wrong with it. Haven't had a good look at it though, I must confess, but I think it was in the contact of play. Might have hurt his shoulder there because he was trying to flick it back and really left himself wide open. We'll get a replay in a moment. In the meantime, Solomon, for a bloke who's training just once a week, he's getting plenty of it. He's running hard.
I think he's just winded at the moment, Ed.
Yeah.
So could be a good sign.
I don't think there's too much in it as far as anything untoward.
He's up and about, he'll be fine.
Peverill gets it back inside. Now the Bombers through Bolton. Nice short kick to Bullen, and Bullen will have to kick from outside 50.
Bullen's playing half forward on Rowan Smith. absolutely to do a negative job on Smith, who's been probably the Western Bulldogs' best player, along with Brad Johnson. And right at the moment, he's going okay. If he can kick a goal, it's a bonus.
So Bullen comes. He's only kicked 3 in his career. He's got good contact on that one. He's got great contact. And the Bombers have kicked 5 straight.
That is a bonus to have Mark Bullen hit the scoreboard, I'm sure. If you're going to do a roll like that on an attacking half-back like Rowan Smith, like what you're saying with Rob Murphy, the best way to do it is to actually go and hit the footy. Here's the hit on Smith, which is Mark Johnson. Good solid body. Jump straight up, Rowan Smith. And this is Brad Johnson here. Dustin Fletcher, he's untidy at times.
Yeah, well, the Bombers doing really well in this first quarter of football. Have kicked 5 straight. The Bulldogs 2 straight. So accurate kicking from both sides, as we saw at the MCG yesterday, early with Brisbane and the Magpies.
So
let's have a look at Dustin Fletcher again and Brad Johnson at some particular stage.
Let's have a look at that, would you?
Just a touch late, Brian. I'd like to see how late.
Okay, we'll get to that when we get an opportunity. As Hill and Hurd and Solomon all combining with the clearance takeaway there. Cupido the danger here. Robbins has got the job on him today. Power did well. Smith, Hargrave all combining. Kick out there towards Johnson. McVeigh all over him. Umpire lets it go. Burst. Put himself on the ball, but so did James Hurd in an aggressive manner.
In late, Brad Johnson.
It was a late arrival, wasn't it?
He was a late arrival.
Might get himself a free here. No, he wanted it. The umpire will just ball it up.
So Bombers half forward, starting to get willing this game.
It is.
Hurd grabbed it, was grabbed. Out of the ball up. Umpire play on. We're not sure what the interpretations are today. As Johnson goes forward. It's one of the great excitements of football. You come and you find out the rules as you go. It's amazing.
Well, they change.
They changed by the quarter.
Here's the Fletcher and Johnson bump.
Well, that was a free kick.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
It was a free kick. It was late. That was probably about it, I reckon.
But it did end up in a 12-point turnaround because he could have kicked the goal from there, and the Essendon got one on the rebound. So it was a costly miss by the umpires on that occasion. The margin is 18 points as Eagleton kicks it behind. And had he been a little bit more untidy, his coach would have kicked these behind because he was a little bit too casual on that occasion. That's the first behind of the game. And Essendon are 5-1-31, Bulldogs are 12 points.
Rowan Smith, there's the confronting task for Rowan Smith. Tough job holding your nerve, kicking in from fullback these days because things like that can very easily happen. And Johnson gets on the end of it, Mark. Line up for goal.
It's not like the old days, Brian, with a fullback that just
bang it long, handball off. Hill, long ball, 50 metres, journey covered, accuracy not. No, it is certainly not, Ed.
You could just line up and maybe go for a drop kick from full back and kick to the ruckman.
Yeah, not quite as easy as that. That was lax marking then from, I guess it would have to be Luke Darcy, who's Hill's opponent. He was the player that well outside 50, just on his own. There was always going to be an option for Mark Johnson to just hand off to him, to a man that was always going to make the distance.
Jared and Gary, a bit later on, we might get a wide shot of the Essendon defensive setup here. They have thrown up almost 3 walls of zone defence. Very hard to get out. Thus we see 3 possessions and only 15 metres out from the goal. In the end, the kick goes forward from Skipper. But see, this is the 3rd wall at half back, and it comes straight back in. And Bay again, look at the kick straight down the throat.
Yeah, brilliant play by the Bombers, and you identified their major problem, the Bulldogs, Ed, and that is just getting the ball over the lines of defence. They're conceding the first kick into that 20-30 metre zone, and yet they come up against a 2-on-1 situation, and there you see. Good effort by McVeigh, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just could not let that get over the back, Jared. The fact that he finished so well is impressive, but the most important thing was if that footy had just spoiled over his hands and got behind him, the Bulldogs are away.
I was watching the game last night up in Sydney, and the one thing that stood out to me, we just saw exemplified by McVeigh again. Players now, if they go to ground, they get up in a split second, so they are still in the action.
So Lloyd coming in for goal number 3 from 40 metres out. Matthew Lloyd doesn't miss them like that. Mark McVeigh, his groomsman, put it up for him, and late wedding present.
Well, at the start of this game, Matthew Lloyd needed 8 goals to break Simon Madden's Essendon goal-kicking record that stands at 575. He will get that this afternoon, Matthew Lloyd. He will get the 8 needed.
Well, he's had a fair start.
He's got a nice little head start. Jerry G, he's got 3 on the board already at the 20-minute mark.
And we just saw there McVeigh, who was only a moment earlier on the ground after the tackle of the attempted mark, get up and kick well.
Matthew Lloyd with his first quarter, or his third first quarter goal, and he's doing incredibly well to kick his 65th of the year. The young superstar, middle-aged superstar now, perhaps in football terms. Hill, skipper, Dimartina. The Bombers again, Mercedes to pump it forward. This time Nathan Brown works back to half-back. He'll immediately see Dimartina wide. It's a beautiful low ball, got there quick. Gee, great opportunity. Drop there. You couldn't have asked it to be presented any better. Johnson, the breakaway. Just hopeful of getting boot on ball and advancing it forward there. Bolton keeps it in play. The Bombers really impressive start to the game, and there is Scotty West, the leading disposal getter in the competition, averaging 28 a week.
At the Smith to Eagleton. This is the big important kick for the Bulldogs. At the Harrison, who did very well. Good strong mark. Harrison now wheels around. Essendon got 3 back on 1 in the defensive 50. So he goes short. Brown to Dimartina. He'll have a shot. No doubt about that from Dimmer. He loves having a ping at the goals. Nice mark by Lucas. But once again, fellas, they had Lucas back, they had Fletcher back, and Hurd back. 3 handy players to be just lurking around against one inexperienced Bulldog.
He started Luke Darcy out of the centre square, loose in defence at that last centre bounce. So it's a defensive mindset they've got at the moment, the Doggies.
Bombers just got a little bit lax there, but James Hurd's brilliance was enough. Lloyd came back to half-back to lend assistance. Cupido chipped it over the top to McPhee. Suddenly the coach has said forwards to the backs and backs to the forwards because he's balling now. Get it back to McPhee. No, he won't. Instead of Solomon off the half-back flank going forward. They're running left, right and centre, the Bombers at the moment. West over the top for the Bulldogs. Tries to hold it in. Bullen trying to get it out. In there as well is Solomon, but we'll have a bounce. They did well, the Bulldogs, and in to hold it up.
Gary, I just don't think you can allow a side to have extra players in defence anymore, because unless you kick a goal, it's impossible. Now, Dustin Fletcher is just showing exactly why this roof issue is a big farce in AFL footy. When you've got the capacity to make the conditions better for players, I reckon you should take it. Bear in mind there'll be about 10,000 supporters having the same problem.
Yeah, it was bad at the MCG yesterday too, but that's because there's obviously a stand missing.
And no roof.
And no roof. Here's Lloyd for goal number 4. Can he get there? No, he can't. Over the line and out of bounds. Yeah, no roof, exactly. I'm concurring with your point there, Jared, that when you have got the opportunity, why don't you make it as perfect as possible? A couple of media writers say people like to sit in the sun. Most of them sit in the press box on this side of the ground if they even come to the ground. It's true.
Well, I think the issue is that you just don't. You look when people have got an option where to sit. They don't sit when they're looking directly into the sun. They'll go out to the wings or at the other end.
It'd be interesting to get a shot of the crowd down there at the moment, because I look down there and see most of them with hands up in that sunny pocket.
As Quicksilver Sunglasses getting a very good workout down there.
James Hurd just squaring a decision there.
Incorrigible.
Deep in the Bombers, forward 50. Lloyd. Jason Johnson, the standing start. Can he deliver? He delivers a high ball, an opportunity for Hill. Darcy did well. Eagleton works off the back. He's got nothing to kick to except open space. It goes amongst 3 Bombers. Look at the triangle. Close up there as they let Wellman, who is running straight at it. Good thinking Bombers. Hurd is great by foot. Around Gian Siracusa. Driving ball. Watch for Mark Johnson. Pretty hook. Off hands. Darcy. Wrapped up. Lloyd tackle. And the Mark Johnson tackle. And he's been pinged. Will the kick go to Lloyd or Mark Johnson? Because I think it may have been the second tackle.
They're both lining up for it, Brian. Don't worry about that. They were 2 fantastic tackles from both. First of all, Matthew Lloyd, defensive pressure from your champion full forward, and then Mark Johnson, we've come to expect that of him.
Did he have prior opportunities?
I reckon he did, Ed. I think he didn't initially, but he had the opportunity to handball it when he was tackled the first time, and then the second time, because he didn't release it, he was pinged.
The biggest fight there was between Hill and Lloyd.
Yeah.
So he'd get it, and Lloyd is won.
Seniority.
I think Mark Johnson also would have laid a claim, but he just wandered off. He got that interested in goals.
Although I reckon he thought about responding to Chris Tarrant's attempt at Mark of the Year down there, because he probably had it until then.
Well, Jason Johnson's got claims for Mark of the Year as well. He's taken a couple of big ones earlier in the season.
Jason or Mark?
Oh, Mark,
yeah.
Oh, my apologies.
Lloyd Comes in for goal number 4 of the quarter, and he's got it. Goal number 66 for the year for Matthew Lloyd.
I just couldn't believe Gary Lowen getting in that gratuitous plug for a sponsor.
No, it's good.
I can't believe that. It shouldn't be allowed to happen.
No, well, funnily enough, I'll be watching the mail in the next couple of days.
Might have been the Mako sunglasses.
None forthcoming just at the moment, Brian. But anyway, that is the number one.
There's his option. There's his option. Yep. And Mark Johnson came in and grabbed him by the arm, preventing him. Right, he's got his arm released. Doesn't handball, but
that was a gang tackle of the highest nature.
It was, and it created a goal, as most gang tackles do. McPhee is the loose man at present for the Bombers.
So the Bombers are away to a 32-point lead, and bang, it's up forward again. Guess who?
Well, you called McPhee down the other end, Jared, is loose. The only reason that's the case is that the Bulldogs have dropped Darcy out of these centre ball-ups and pushed him deep in defence. But unlike last week, the Essendon Footy Club won't allow him to play on his own, and Bolton was the player that just left his man to stand on Darcy, which means he can't take up that hole right there for Matthew Lloyd to run into. And it's a lesson that the Bombers would have well learnt from last weekend when Darcy was such a thorn in the side of Melbourne.
Bomber fans will remember Steve Crediok last year trying to hit the injured hand of Matthew Lloyd. Well,
it wasn't his grass tossing hand, was it?
Who's his next opponent, you reckon, guys? Hargrave, would it be?
Crediok hasn't had a touch. And this man, Matthew Lloyd, is lining up for goal number 5.
Rick Kennedy.
We've only been going 26.5 minutes. In he comes from right on the 50. Hits it beautifully. He's kicked 5 goals straight. The Bombers now by 38 points. And he's kicked the last 3 of the game.
Got to draw my lines a little bit narrower in the footy record, Jared, because
it's looking like you're filling in the dots there, Gary, at the moment. Looks like a square block.
They need to make a change, the Western Bulldogs.
What about Robert Murphy? I know he's doing a pretty good job on James Hurdle. I heard still racked up a number of possessions himself, had 5 already.
What about Rowan Smith?
Yeah, I'd go
Little leg speed.
What about all tag?
What about all of them? Go with a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a case for Rick Kennedy, but I'm not sure he'd be in quite the state.
Ball back in the middle of the ground. Ball bounce. Favours Darcy in a way. Knocked it forward. Lucas was tackled. Dispossessed. Brown. High ball, but it's all Bombers. It'll be Welsh at half back. Feeds off Fletcher. Here comes the flowing, fluent style we know the Bombers so well for. Solomon through the midfield. Got Burt on ball quickly, gave Hurt an opportunity. And the Crummers picked up by Haynes. Played well last week. Shot at goal. Missed. Just a -4 there for the Bombers.
But just does show the fallacy of having a loose man, or creating a loose man for your opposition side of defence. The Bulldogs won that centre clearance. They kick it in, but because the kicks are under pressure, it effectively is going to favour the side with the most numbers, and Essendon quickly have a shot at goal.
Bombers by 39 points. Rowan Smith with a kick out. Guess who? James Hurd. Inside the McPhee has been fantastic today. Lloyd's got away in the pocket. That's where it's heading. Lloyd!
That was a great kick.
Ryan Hargrave is, in fact, the new opponent for Matthew Lloyd, as Brian Taylor alluded to as a possibility. But I tell you, he is looking at one very, very big bag of goals, Jared, because the player that's filling the hole is just they're going around him so effectively, and they can't put any pressure on by holding the ball in their own forward line.
Well, he's on Fred Fanning pace at the moment.
This could be an historic day.
Well, he said he had to kick 8 today to go past Simon Madden, thinking he could possibly have a day out and kick 8 for the match. He's lining up for goal number 6 in the first 29 minutes of play.
With 3 minutes remaining.
It's quite incredible.
So Matthew Lloyd, this is the easiest of his kicks.
Can't believe the time is being wasted in this.
Peter Road, as in comes Lloyd. From 20 metres out directly in front, he has kicked 6 goals straight. The superstar from Windy Hill. And Lisa's happy there. Sister Kylie, who works on the footy show, of course, at Channel 9, and his mother sitting alongside there. They're having a wonderful day out at the football, the Lloyds.
Mother Bev, in actual fact.
Yep.
That's how well Lloyd is travelling. We know the whole family.
Yeah, John will be there somewhere.
And that's where it started, though. Good mark from James Hurd in front of Luke Darcy. He would be disappointed with that one. But Gary, there was about 30 seconds lost while James Hird lined up. Surely that's a case for time on.
And the best result for the Bombers for a quarter of football, first quarter for the season.
Well, 6 goals to Matthew Lloyd in this first quarter. His adrenaline would be absolutely flowing. And there is the reaction to that last goal. Goal number 6, the 4th in a row for Matthew Lloyd. And to kick 6 1/4, the juices really get going, Gary. And
yeah, you've been there, have you, Brian?
Yes, Brian.
We're waiting for you to come in.
How many did you kick? What was your best bag in a quarter, Brian?
6 there, Ed.
Where was that, Brian?
Oh, it was a big part, but we should move on with the game
take
now.
us through it.
I didn't really want you to mention that as Wellman moved forward. I thought that our statistician Luke might have found that in the book somewhere, but obviously nothing for VT.
He's looking for Bomber records at the moment.
Bullen.
That's, by the way, the last 4 consecutive goals for Lloyd in this quarter.
You know, Lloyd's having a good day when Lisa reaches for the calculator.
Yes. Interesting aspect to the contract. Brown at halfback. This has been a quite incredible quarter for the Bombers. Matthew Lloyd has kicked the last 4 goals straight to register his 6th goal for the quarter. We've played 31 minutes and the Bombers 57-12 at the moment with just under 2 minutes remaining. Sam Power has it.
And he needs 1 more goal to equal Simon Madden's record.
They can't go down the line, they just can't go with any confidence because Dustin Fletcher has just positioned himself down there.
Power kicks it to Hahn in the middle. Did well to the contest to bring it to ground. He needs help at ground level. Skipper whacked in on Hurd. Jason Johnson strips. Ball partially smothered by Brown. Goes to Murphy, juggling the 10. He'll be under siege as well. Bombers just walk straight over the top of them at the moment. In the middle, it's a fierce ball. Jason Johnson put his head in and won the hardest ball of them all.
One of the most interesting stats of the day so far is that Matthew Lloyd is the full forward and he's got the most possessions on the ground.
Yeah, well, he's also got 6 on the board, so
He's been in the busy part of the ground, though, Jerry.
it's nice when it's all funneled through you.
The Essendon goal square has been the most busiest part of the ground here today. Here's Cupid, went over the top of it, dragged it in, should be gone here, but no, says the umpire.
Less likely when it's 57-12.
Yeah, the heat has already gone out of this game.
Well, it's interesting now. Just this is where the coaches earn their money. They've got to come up with something here, the Dogs.
So do the players.
Hill to Solomon. Darcy over the top. Was Luke Darcy's son. He's the grandson of a former Essendon president and premiership player, and David Shaw. And
So,
ball up.
what is it, guys? Is it just that the Bombers have played exceptionally well, or are the Bulldogs out there at the moment lacking intensity?
But they've got to get some positives along the way, and they ain't getting them from the scoreboard, Brian, because every time they go forward, it just comes back in their face so quickly.
Here's their biggest problem. Loose man in defence. Loose man in defence is killing them.
Jared, look at that.
Yep.
3 lined up. Walsh, Hurd, and if you want to come back even further, there was another one there in Lucas. But standing ovation from the Essendon fans, and most of it headed towards this bloke's direction. Matthew Lloyd, the superstar full forward of the Essendon Football Club. What a star he has been for this club over the years. Best goal kicker at the club, 97, 98, 99, 2000, 2001 and 2002, and about to be 2003. He's one off becoming the greatest ever goal kicker at Whitby Hill.
He's going to kick 24 the way he's going, Jared. So don't go away. If nothing else, we could be witnessing footballing history here. Quarter time, the Bombers, 9-3-57. The Dogs, 2 straight, 12.
Monday, Collingwood captain Nathan Buckley is live on the couch. It's been 10 years since he won the inaugural Rising Star Award, but despite all the personal accolades and over 100 games as skipper, a premiership still eludes him. Can the Pies do it this year? Nathan Buckley speaks openly of the quest for the cup on the couch, live Monday, 8:30 Eastern.
Here's a first for Harvey Norman. 17 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2005. What a deal. Buy now and pay absolutely zilch, zero, nothing for 17 months. Electrical, computers and communications, furniture and bedding and bedroom furniture and much more. 17 months interest-free terms. No deposit, no interest, no repayments till 2005. Minimum purchase $500. Conditions, fees and charges apply. See store for details. 17 months interest-free now at Harvey Norman. Don't miss it.
Telstra is proud to partner with Fox Footy Channel to bring you all the action from the 2003 AFL Premiership season. The finest minds.
What is the best remedy for a hangover? Not drinking the night before is probably a good.
The toughest questions.
The place called Sons of the Skies.
In this game, there are wins.
I don't know the answer to that.
And there are drop kicks.
I did back for Melbourne for a while.
Well,
I'm with Hawthorn now, but if they don't pick up the game, I'm leaving them too.
Dropkick, 8:30 Tuesday, only on Fox Footy Channel.
And the Bombers have enjoyed their best quarter for season 2003. 9 goals, 357. The Dogs 2 straight 12. And that man Matthew Lloyd has put on a clinic in the first quarter. He's kicked 6 goals straight. And he's on target for a big bag, one would think. The Western Bulldogs huddle still assembled there with Kevin Sheedy with the Bombers as well.
Lloyd's best effort, of course, 13 goals, 4 versus Sydney. And 6-time Essendon leading goal kicker. That, of course, was back in 1999 when he won the Coleman. They didn't win the Coleman medal that year. He was won in 2000 and 2001.
Well, he's on track again. In fact, he might have clinched the Coleman medal with this performance. David Neath's the nearest to him before this round of matches. And Jared, he only needs... The fact is, he's so devastating with his kicking that every opportunity he gets, he makes the most of.
Yeah, he's a great goal kicker, Gary, because he can kick them from around the 50 metre, and he's got a penetrating drop punt. And on this ground, there's not a lot of elements to upset it, but he's in front every time, and he's had 2 or 3 opponents already. He's got great opportunities from a running defence so far.
And you have to be a star to kick 6 1/4, Brian, don't you? Because Brian Taylor did it at Victoria Park, and that was the venue for the most ever goals in a quarter when Gordon Coventry kicked 8 against Hawthorn in round 13, 1929.
Well done, Brian. Put the quarter-time break to very good use by digging that stat up for himself. Let's go down the boundary to Anthony Mithen.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Peter Rode, well, while he was furious at his players, he was still giving instructions, trying to coach them and get something out of this game, even though it would seem that the result is beyond doubt. Matthew Lloyd, interesting to note, he kicked 10 goals the last time the roof was off here at Telstra Dome, and it was against the Bulldogs. That is from the mouth of John Barnes, so we do take that with a grain of salt. But there's the Barnesy stat on Matthew Lloyd. He's well on target to 10.
Well, the good news is it looks like there's going to be 6 people in the Bulldogs forward line, 6 people in their defence, and 6 through the middle.
It didn't work the other way, Jared, so they had no choice but to go back and try and at least put a little bit of defensive pressure from their forward half of the ground. I mean, it was just rebounding from half-back so quickly that it didn't give the likes of Crediuk or Hargrave a chance on Matthew Lloyd. So big opportunity for Matthew Lloyd to do some real damage down here as he wanders down in front of the Essendon cheer squad, and they pay homage to the man. He just flings a bit of grass up in the air. He's anticipating another couple of shots this quarter, there's no doubt about it.
Start of the second quarter here. The Bombers by 45 points as we start this second term. Darcy and Hill over the top, knocking it down the path of Hurd and Solomon. Pressure from Dimatina. Hill, free kick off the ball. A throw, said the umpire, so the advantage paid. Allowed Murphy to run with the ball. Long ball in. Wiggins is on the ground. He's gone to full forward. Can he provide some sort of impact up there for them? Brown extracted the ball. Got it to Gian Siracusa. Normally pretty good on his left side. Kick at goal just missed.
Well, Nathan Brown's had a big go so far. He's already had 10 possessions, and that one he set up Gian Siracusa for a goal that you expect to kick, expect to complete. No one on the mark for the Bulldogs, so Dustin Fletcher just strolls out to the 30-metre zone and finds a target.
Luckily for the
wrong target
for the Bulldogs, though. Yeah.
Very lucky.
He kicked an absolute shocker, and Gilby took the mark because they were all on, lining up. Ames is ready to go on centre wing. Here's Murphy. Smith has got it. I have another go. Rowan Smith lining up in the centre of Telstra Dome. Flicks it out wide to Eagleton on the run. Eagleton now Another floating kick, but it comes off on this occasion, and Harrison takes a strong mark. That's 50.
That's got to be 50.
The boys are claiming it was touched. Called touched.
No, they're playing the mark in. They asked the other umpire there, Martin Ellis, and he said no, in his opinion it wasn't.
What, if that umpire needs to go and check every decision that Mark Johnson tells him about, he's in for a pretty long afternoon.
I must admit, though, the Nathan Eagleton kick ended up being a bit of a...
it was a floater, wasn't it?
You've got to have strength in his convictions, eh?
In which case, when finding out that it wasn't touched, it should have been a 50-metre penalty.
Exactly. And you reckon Mark Johnson's going to tell him the truth?
So you're becoming cynical these days, Gary.
Look at the zone off here on the man on the mark, Mark Johnson.
Rational.
Gilby has kicked 9 goals for the season. It'll be a good one from here. They'll have to go all of about 47 metres from the boundary line.
Close.
Off a couple of steps. It's a magnificent looking kick. Brian Taylor, did you teach him that at training? Because that is a beautiful goal.
Well, it's just a little bit of competitiveness, Jared. A couple of times the ball's gone into the Dogs' forward half of the ground and they've been able to provide a real contest. Just one-on-one stuff. Now, there was no touch footy in that, so we would think that would have been a 50, but not to be paid. Mark Johnson did a bit of umpiring of his own, but then he ended up in Lindsay Gilby's hand. It was a very good finish.
Do the umpiring to thwart off the 50, perhaps?
Probably did, Brian.
So the Bulldogs get the first goal on the scoreboard in this second quarter. 3 minutes in, Lindsay Gilby, a beautiful shot from the boundary line. Darcy had it spent before he really had acquired it. By West was a sensational mark by Hurd, wasn't it?
Wade Skipper will have a look at that, or someone should show him through the week and say there's a legitimate chance to do a bit of damage there.
There was the sun in the eyes of Bullen. Allowed the easy was spoiled for the Dogs. Now Smith goes forward with the ball. No one home. Looking for the paddock there. Nothing on off. Fletcher got back. Little chip over the top.
Hurd on defensive 50. Takes the mark, slows things down. Now he gets some run. McPhee again has been excellent today. Pretty much in the centre of the Telstra Dome. Looks up, Cupido. Lloyd leading out. They're just holding the ball up. Smoke and Joe Mercedes. Now Cupido goes. Beautiful lead and a lovely kick as well. Cupido marks. 55 out. Swings around onto the left boot. Long and strong. Looking for Lloyd. It's dipping. It's ducking. Yep. And Lloyd will nearly get there. Just off the hands and through for a rush behind.
This is the one where Wade Skipper, the Western Bulldog, pretty good actually, pretty well protected by Scott Lucas in the end, but he just he had a chance of Gary, really hard at it. Hurd went harder.
West needs length in this ball to give Murphy a chance. Gilby, right, beautiful hand. You're right, Jared, the umpire was right on the back.
He just scooped it a little bit. It was a good thought process, but the execution left a bit.
James Hurd, centering ball. Mercedes looking to move the ball quickly. McPhee, the sidestep allows Lucas to get on the inside the centre square. He launches a long ball. Lloyd, can he be held out here? They fly. Got a half a kick foot mid-air there, the Dogs. As Smith carries it away from defence, and this time they use it better to Murphy.
Murphy and Brown leads hard and strong and is found on the chest.
They're looking more competitive though, the Bulldogs. But man up everywhere, no loose free, easy balls for the Bombers.
Brown's kick went over the head of Wiggins. Over the line and out of bounds. We'll have a throw in. Half forward flank for the Western Bulldogs. They've got the first goal of the quarter.
Mark McVeigh doing a terrific job on Brad Johnson. We know he got a pretty heavy knock, but just the 2 possessions to this stage of the game to the Western Bulldog champ is a feather in the cap of Mark McVeigh.
39 points to difference. Bombers lead. Up they go. Hill. Down to Hurd, who is getting so much of the ball. It's so funny at the moment. Torpedo. Good play. Power over the top. Umpire says it was locked in, so we'll have a bounce on centre wing.
Just on that matchup, McVeigh and Johnson, gee, I reckon that'd be one you'd tend to put Johnson back to the square, clear everyone else out, and give him a chance in the air, surely against Mark McVeigh.
Hurd has 11 possessions. This man, Nathan Brown, is the only one with more. That's number 12. Gets the handball out. To Power, now to Smith. Smith's kick was a shot. You heard him, that was him. Or maybe it was the coach, I'm not sure. One of them was yelling out. As Bullen goes up to the forward 50, the mark's been almost taken by Haynes. Smith got back and put the pressure on and saved his own day. Now Power kicks. Hey, boy, that was going to be difficult always. Eagleton's gone on the ground. Cupido fixed him up and Eagleton's still on the ground.
McPhee's having an excellent day.
Hahn was wrapped up by that man McPhee, and there's a bounce, and Nathan Eagleson isn't too good at all. Let's have a look at it here.
He is out.
He just bounced, and maybe just hit his forehead when he landed.
Yeah, he didn't look the head injury, did it?
Didn't look to be too much at all.
I think the head hit the ground.
Cupido, 48. Got the handball out.
Gone. Hold the ball, advantage paid.
Robbins had to run round the injured Eagleton. Runs to centre wing. Looks up and all he sees is Fletcher. So he decided to go shorter and saw Lucas.
Lucas marks the ball at half back, so some turnover mistakes costly here. Eagleton's back up and running at half forward as Walsh. Feeds off to Fletcher, who runs wide. He's got Mark Johnson on downfield, so they'll go forward again, the Bombers. Here comes Lloyd on the charge. The kick needs to be good. Crediuk got a fist there. Beat all. At the back. Haynes or Bullen. Bullen it is! Shot on goal on the ground is there. Got his second.
And Mark Bullen continues to impress. He's one of the new Bombers that are having such an impact throughout the season, and they're slowly gathering some momentum. The likes of Bullen, McPhee, just been added. Welsh is another one today, just been added to this lineup, and I think within the space of 12 months they're going to be back to one of the top end, more competitive clubs.
Gee, if they're not already.
Yep.
So the Bombers now by 45 points. Coming up to the 8-minute mark of this second term at the Telstra Dome. Darcy got the tap. Murphy got it out wider to West. West gets it going to Dimartino, the old firm combining. Dimartino went too far, just got the handball out in time. West again over to Hahn, had to take it off his boot laces. McPhee, Hassling, did well. Lucas with support, too much strength, got it away to Fletcher. Fletcher back to McPhee, back to Lucas. That's good football. Then it was just smothered. Now Brown looks forward, good looking kick to Gene Siracusa, who takes the mark and should kick the goal from 35 metres.
I had to feel sorry for Welsh there, because it looked as if Lucas was going to charge down the ground, and he was on the burst going to go up the other wing to give them another option to cross the floor. But the turnover just killed him.
And Nathan Brown, who has had a good year in front of goals. His goal kicking has been disappointing, but he gets so many shots at it. He's just enjoying a very nice period in the middle here, just demonstrating the years much more than just a forward-line player.
Gene Siracusa is kicking at 74%, having kicked 17 goals, 6 for the season. In he comes from about 35 and makes no mistake with that one, and kicks the second goal for the Bulldogs this quarter.
A good result. A nice kicking style, Daniel Gene Siracusa there. This is great pass too from, as you see, the turnover ends up in the hands of Nathan Brown. This is the turnover, good pressure, and nicely picked out Daniel Gene Siracusa here. And his style, he's kicking for goal action, very nice runs right through the footy, good momentum through the football.
So it appears that the Bulldogs have halted the flow of goals from the Bombers, and they've kicked 2 goals to Essendon's 1 in this second quarter, and they're within 39 points. And they'll get the opportunity to go forward again. Gilby, Brown can kick it from here. Didn't quite nail it. The bounce might favour him. It's rolling. It's a goal. 2 in a row, fortuitous bounce. Brown gets his first.
What happens, Jared, is when you get a big 45-point lead in the first quarter like the Bombers have, the tendency can then be to, well, maybe try and join in the party rather than do the work that got you to that point. And when you see this ball up, as the goal just makes it, it's Mark Johnson off the centre square who sort of half went in but was more looking forward to receive a handball, and it came out to his man that cost him a goal.
So for the first time in the game, the Western Bulldogs kick consecutive goals. The margin is 33 points. They've kicked 3 goals to 1 this quarter, and the centre clearance status the key one, boys. Dogs 10, Essendon 3. Up they go again. Make that 11 to the Dogs. Got it out was West, who found Eagleton. Eagleton has a second look up, then goes long out towards the pocket, off hands. Gene Siracusa is there again for the Western Bulldogs. Has a second go at it, holds it up and does it well with Walsh and McPhee close by. Ball up.
It's not so much the centre clearances, because this work has been going even from the first quarter. It's the fact that the ball is now, they're getting some value down in their forward half of the ground.
They're holding it in under, they're having a contest.
Not coming back in their face so quickly.
And boys, as you said, Essendon almost playing forward of the ball, expecting it to come out after that first quarter. So if you do break the line, suddenly it's all blue skies going forward.
They are starting, well, they were for a moment starting to push forward of the footy. I reckon Kevin Sheedy and the coaching box might have identified that.
And right now the Bulldogs have dropped another player back. As soon as they go for the centre clearance.
A chance for McMahon. It bounced off Darcy's head. That's using your head in football. The kick wasn't too flash inside though. McVeigh with the new hairstyle kicks it out wide. Cupido can run onto the ball. Robbins lines him up and says, "You're not getting past me," but he didn't have the ball, so he's given up the free kick, and Cupido will take it at half-back flank for Essendon.
Cupido to move the ball quickly and swiftly. Not sure who that one was for, but nevertheless it was between two Bombers. Solomon did well. The kick to Alessio, who just came on the ground. He marks. He can run inside 50. He can let go. Or will Lloyd mark it? No. Just the minor score there for the Bombers. Let's go down the ground level, and Anthony Miffin.
Thanks, Brian. That was an amazing first quarter for the Bombers, considering that many of the Bombers officials before the game were just a bit worried about who the younger players and how they might react to the news about Adam Ramanauskas, but they responded in kind, didn't they?
They certainly had a go, no doubt about that, as Smith comes out wide. Mark taken on by Robbins, who should replace the divot out there.
Got down to the concrete level, I think.
Yeah, I think it's bounced off the roof of your car, Brian, out there. Mark's been taken by Smith. Half-back flank position. Bombers lead by 34 points, 10-5 to 5-1. Brown has been the busiest man on the ground. 15th disposal as he kicks inside 50s. Bombers, Walsh, Hurd, opens it up, Mercedes, and all got their hands up waiting for it. Mercedes with a nice looping handball out to Lucas, who kicked into the man coming at him, who is Darcy. Lucas goes again, does it well, over the line and out of bounds.
Well, if there is a flaw in Scott Lucas's game across his half-back line, is that he's got a bit of a wind-up to his kick, and I've seen him a couple of weeks in a row now, and it's just let him down on too many occasions. As we have a look at a former Bulldogs coach there in Terry Wallace, just sitting in the wings.
And his wife there with him.
In more ways than one.
Up they go. Very interested spectator today, Terry Wallace, to look at his old side. And will a job become available for him next year, or even the year after? Pretty good crowd in here today, an Essendon home game. Terry Wallace in amongst that. Out of around 35,000, you would think. Mark Johnson, handball. Peveril and Lucas combining off the half-back line to spot up Solomon. This is good play, the Bombers. Here goes the linking run from Johnson. The delivery, Lloyd in the lead. This time he had two to beat. And the third one at the back, the loose man was Power. Murphy, through traffic, got to get rid of it, did. Power down on all fours to accept. Now, out of trouble, Hargrave, kick needs to be good.
And it is, and Brown now with his 16th disposal for the afternoon. Runs up, looks for a lead. It's coming out from Johnson. The kick is good, and Johnson couldn't quite get there. Was pushed away by McVeigh. Cupido on the overlap, does it well. Out to Big Hill, the bounce though favours the Western Bulldogs. Gene Syracuse over the top to Harrison. There's not much on offer. Harrison back to Gene Syracuse, who can go inboard, and Dars the West took the mark. Darcy's still an option.
Brad Johnson might have been shaken up a bit more than we acknowledged in that first quarter. Just not taking the footy in the manner that we've seen him.
West to Power. Solomon tried to knock him over. Brown in there on hands and knees. Good play by Fletcher. He got it out to Solomon, who kept his feet. Kicks it up towards Lloyd, who's coming out to centre half forward. Good play from behind. Almost marked that. And then grabbed height. Yes, says the umpire. Free kick to Scott West. And Westy now going into double figures. In fact, that's 12th possession for West. Wasn't his greatest possession as the ball finally came out from Eagleton. Hargrave. The mark taken by Darcy.
Ron Smith's another one who's racking up the possessions across that half-back line, and he is giving the Bulldogs plenty of drive.
This is his 14th touch.
Just looking to see what is downfield.
And all we can see is a line of Bombers about 50 metres away.
The zone just set up back there. McMahon runs onto his non-preferred side. Now he brings it back to that favoured left boot. Gilby needs to compete. Did well. Brought it to the ground. Beautiful tap out there from the Bombers. McVeigh, originally it was Mercedes. Having a real crack today, McVeigh. Cupido with a nice linking, looping handball allowed McPhee to run smoothly onto the ball. He takes a bounce, but a lot of time power. Did not look at the ball at all. Bolton should have been a free. Harrison, handball under enormous pressure. Smith's got to go. He did. Put his head in front of Bullen.
Well, this umpire doesn't want to pay a free kick. Bullen's just taken the head off of whoever that Bulldog is. It's Rowan Smith. And the one prior to that, Gary to James to Matthew Lloyd was an incredible miss.
Yeah, Power just went straight at him.
Yep.
Here's a chance for Darcy, who was... Well, the interesting thing about that was Darcy didn't know whether he should go at the ball because of the rules. So do you reckon that's a stupid rule? Peveril, forward, Herb, just one-handed. He's been probably used to carrying one of his babies on his hip all week, being the house dad this week.
Let's have a look at the clash of heads there of Steve Alessio. But that's why you come to the footy. I reckon the umpire was grimacing too when he saw that. And look at this for pure skill.
Murphy did everything he could. So Herb comes in from 50 just to stem the tide at the moment. The Bulldogs playing well, but he's sliced it through for a point.
A couple of things have happened. The Bulldogs allowing Essendon to have a looser game in the past 3 or 4 minutes, and the whole complexion of this game has changed. And up the other end of the ground, perhaps a bit Lloyd conscious, as you would be after a man kicked 6 1/4, but the best thing they can do for Matthew Lloyd is to hit a couple of other targets, make the Western Bulldogs defence honest again, and things will open up for Matthew Lloyd in time.
Now Boyd can play on here if he wants. No one was on the mark until Cupido stepped in. Almost a 50 there, wasn't it? Kick out wide. Finds its target in Sam Power. The linking run here from Murphy. The Bulldogs work it forward. Now the kick is really important. The rebound ricochet off Bolton is well done by Murphy. Now the centering kick to Brown, but it's 2-on-1 because of the loose. Need to match up again. It needs to be 6-on-6. Ball out wide. Here is Mercury.
Mark Mercury comes in. Gets told to kick it into the corridor. That was good play by Bullen. Bullen directed that from the pocket because Mercury looked up. All he could see was Bullen in the pocket. Bullen stuck his right arm up and said, kick it into the corridor.
And it's great to see he hit his target because last week a bit of pressure came on to Mark Mercury because of poor disposal, but on that occasion, that was a magnificent kick.
Was Mark's taken inside 50, 10 Essendon for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, well, we know they haven't got the tools, the Bulldogs. Big Wade skipper down there, of course, was still a young man. And the setup, the way that this game's been played hasn't allowed them to take marks inside 50. So they look most dangerous when, as Brian has said, 6-on-6 was the situation.
They're just getting picked off, aren't they, when they bomb it in?
Can't afford it. They haven't got enough manpower, enough strength in their forward half of the ground to be competing 2 against 1.
So Mark Bolton coming in has kicked 1 goal today. He's kicked 9 for the season. He's now got double figures for the season. He kicks his 10th of the year.
And Mark Bolton is very much a key to where the Bombers are, not only for this season but for the next year or two. They've got enough key position players to have an All-Australian almost, if not just a top-class player in each of those positions, but they're one short, and Mark Bolton is filling that role for most of the season, either at centre-half forward or centre-half back. He's doing it pretty well.
Ball back in the middle. So, a 41-point margin. It was 45 at quarter time in favour of the Bombers. Back to 41. Alessio, give them a little lift since he's been on the ground. Clearance out of the middle. Johnson went without it. His direct opponent there, Gilby. Solomon, clever, wasn't it? Jason Johnson. Now a centering, disciplined football. Gives Lloyd a real opportunity. Did well Hargrave to tie him up in the air. Murphy, clever. Back to Credior. Hargrave. They're coming at him from every angle. Slides the handball backwards though to Robbins. Robbins normally pretty good by foot. Johnson's got to work really hard. That was Brad. But instead Jason marked it. And now the lead by Herb. And the brilliant disposal by McVeigh was unstoppable.
Good hierarchy there, Gary.
He'll play on and go wide to Cupido. And Cupido marks in the pocket. Nasidi comes to the bench for a spell.
We both laughed at the same thing, Jared. Bolton may have had his nose in front to have first crack at that. But he just sensed Jim Bob Hurd, his skipper, coming along and he just deferred.
And then Cupido demanded it. Hurd wanted to ignore him, I reckon.
Well,
it's too good a position.
Damien Cupido has been up and down this year. 30 goals, 18 at 63%. But he is a beautiful, fluent kick of the ball. Left foot up. And he comes. There's the reverse angle, and look at that. Just floating off a little. I think it's there though. Is it? It is. Cubido gets his first.
He's got great magic, Cubido, and I think he plays his best footy when he's closest to goal. At the moment he's been pushing up the ground a bit more than at other times earlier in the season, but he really looms as a player that could create major havoc at the pointy end of the season. They could push Lloyd out to centre half forward and have Cubido coming from the goal square. He can do it all.
So a very exciting youngster in Cubido, set up by his very famous captain in James Hird, and the Bombers now enjoying the biggest lead of the game, 47 points. We've been playing 21 3/4 minutes into the second term.
It's a great opportunity for Essendon forwards when you have a man like Matthew Lloyd who does attract so much attention. Every single one of those forwards could bob up now and kick goals and benefit from the attention that Hird has and will receive.
McMahon got the tap out. Came out to Peverill though, in dispute. The ball now spills out to West. Chance for the Bulldogs as West kicks it long and hard. Looking for Wiggins. Wellman goes up, did interfere, no, says the umpire. Brown got it over to Harrison, close on the boundary line, will have a shot. Tries to thread the needle and kicks it behind.
You'd normally go to perhaps the top of the square, but the simple fact was there was no one there, so
I think he looked at that. Yeah, as you say, Gary, there wasn't anything on offer, so he was in a way forced to have a shot. Cubido, half back. Flips off. So the Bombers, Walsh. Come of age this year, Walsh. McGrath, who just snuck onto the ground, sliding handball long way sideways to Lucas. Talk that he may be one of the possibilities at Geelong next year. A lot of talk in that area at the moment. Credior could mark Gilby.
We've got everyone, haven't they, down at Geelong at the moment?
They have. Funny thing is, they haven't signed up any of them. McGuinness, a half a don't argue on Fletcher. McMahon looking for Brown, but Lucas steps in again. Now the Bombers set up the loose. Here's the build-up again as we gradually work it forward to Lloyd. Peverill in the middle will find the loose man there. They've got Hird running in support. McCreary marks. Probably should have given it, didn't. Now the chip kick to Alessio. He marks. He only had the smaller opponent in West to beat. And he'll line up a goal 40 metres out, directly in front.
Well, they went inside the Dogs 50 again on that occasion, just came out because they were outnumbered. And at the other end of the ground, they were able to find targets far more effectively. Great support work from Mark Bolton, who was able to get his body in the way and protect big Steve Alessio. And he needs to kick these goals.
So the Bombers just sneaking away. They've kicked the last 2 goals consecutively of this quarter. And this would make it 3 after the Bulldogs had just stopped the flow there for 20 minutes or so. But Alessio gets his first of the game, and the Bombers extend their lead.
There is such a handsome lead now for the Bombers. You may well ask, well, what else can they get out of this? Well, for Stephen Alessio and Mark McCreary and 1 or 2 others probably, there's still a lot at stake, and that would be a position in a team that is capable of surprising some people come September, and they do get an opportunity now. They've got an opponent down, big chance.
So the Bombers have kicked the last 3 of the quarter to now go out to a game-high 52-point lead. Percentage all important as well for Essendon. All coming together for them. They've got a pretty good run the next fortnight to set themselves up for a possible top 4 position. West goes forward, the mark taken by Gene Syracusa. His kick inside 50.
This is a long area, Eddie. There's just 3 and 4 players there for Essendon.
Yep, and Lucas, hell of it is, out to Big Sess, who goes up and takes the mark, gets it over the top to Bullen. Bullen says, where's Lloydie? And Bolton says, behind me. But let him go! He's one of the fastest players at Essendon, and he made plenty of space for himself to kick goal number 3.
As an example of what I was talking about earlier, Jared, is some of these other forwards now get a big chance to bag themselves 5 or 6 goals. Rowan Smith's slow to get up after this one. Not sure.
He's had a crook ankle.
Yep. But just pickpocketed. That's what I'm trying to say. Matthew Lloyd, he deferred to James Hird. He said, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to crack at it.
And there is the injury to Rowan Smith, that ankle injury. He's still out there, and he's not moving all that freely, as we see there. 4 in a row for the Bombers to finish off this first half very strongly indeed. They lead it by 58 points with a minute and a half remaining. Jason Johnson looking for Bullen. He's been very impressive today. Smith to the boundary line, appears to have recovered. We're going to go into half-time, guys, with the Bulldogs coach. Gary, what do you say to the players?
Well, they enjoyed their best period when they had one-on-one contests, Brian. I know they're harping on it, but they just can't afford to let Essendon outnumber them at half-back or their half-forward line. They don't get a good chance. The ball comes back too easily.
Howard got it over the top. Krediuk tried to get his foot to the ball. Jason Johnson did well. He kicks it to the hot spot. Out they come. Harrison at full stretch did well. So too did Hargrave. Just gave him a bit of assistance there. Now the kick comes out and Mitch Hahn takes the mark. Robbins just held his composure. Hahn running around in circles. Problem is there's nowhere to go. Smith tried to run through the lines. He's flicked it out looking for West. It sits nicely for West. Showed the ball to his opposition. Then set it up, and here comes the turnover. Then it comes to Lucas. Lucas has got the chance now to go to about 4 different players. He went to Cute, but they took Cute on that occasion. So the player there in Boyd got it out to Brown, to Hahn, who got the don't argue on the way through. But once again, it turns over, and McVeigh kicks it out to the wing where Bullen was just sitting there waiting. Bullen got the handball working. Now McGrath up towards McCurry. Going in the back? No, says the umpire. Robbins was there. Solomon lending support. McCurry goes hard as well. You can tell he's playing for his life, Mark McCurry.
And he'd be filthy, Eddie, too, because that was a major push in the back and no response again from the umpires.
Right on the siren, and at 14.690, that's Essendon's best first half of season 2003.
Well, they've been pretty impressive. Only really challenged probably for about a 10-minute period, Jared, I would have thought, where the Western Bulldogs were able to string a few goals together, but they are potent up forward. Their half-back line's pretty well been able to do what they wanted because they've outnumbered the opposition on so many occasions. They had 3 targets through the middle. A lot of possession winners for the Bulldogs. They're one of the #1 possession winners in the competition.
They are. They've got a core group of players, namely Brown, Smith and West, who are getting plenty of it at the present time. They just need a greater contribution across the board. They haven't got it. They need to go man on man, as you said. And they need to up the work rate significantly across the board.
58 points to margin at half-time. The Bombers, 14.690. The Western Bulldogs, 5-2-32.
Hi, I'm Ken Kingsley from the Geelong Football Club. Want to know what makes this cat purr? Being surrounded by 4 beautiful women who love talking about football.
The chicks behind the big sticks. Living with Footballers, Tuesday nights on Fox Footy Channel.
Nobody beats Baines Warehouse on price. Here's proof. 3-time millet brew below $5.98. Water-saving shower arm and head only $15. 3-in-1 bathroom heater, great value at $89.98. Lopping or head shears just $8.98 each. Set of 2 tall tidies, a low $5.97. And if you happen to find a cheaper price on a stocked item, we'll beat it by 10%.
Baines Warehouse.
Lowest prices are just the beginning.
Bert, could you get off the internet? I'm waiting for an important call.
Don't worry, Patty. We've got Telstra Home Messages 101.
What's that?
It's Telstra's new home message service. It takes messages even when you're on the phone or the internet. It's free to turn on and free to use. Just dial 101.
Oh, that's handy. What are you looking at, Doug?
Don't come over here.
Oh, there. Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free. Dial 101 from home to turn it on. These young fellas, they're driving me mad. Hey, hey, another one I've got. You'll do it.
Geelong legend Bobby Davis on Grumpy Old Man, exclusive to Fox Footy Channel.
Welcome back to the Telstra Dome. Plenty of work ahead of the Western Bulldogs. The Essendon Footy Club are in the 8th. They intend to stay there with 3 rounds to go after this one. 58 points is the margin here at half-time. 6 to Matthew Lloyd, 3 to Mark Bolton, 2 to Mark Bullen. All single goal kickers for the Western Bulldogs. Rob Murphy, Lindsay Gilby, Daniel G in Syracuse, Nathan Brown and Ben Harrison. Plenty of work ahead of the Dogs, as I say. Jared Healy, what can they do?
Well, I think we prefaced it during the first half, Gary. I mean, the result's beyond the Western Bulldogs, but that's not really what they're chasing at the present time. They're looking for improvement from their young list, and I think they would be looking for a greater output across the board. The Bombers, well, they are on the march, the Bombers. They have snuck under the radar of most pundits, I think, in the media, and they just continue to improve. They've got a very well-balanced side. Obviously, they're going to be hurt by the loss of Ramanaskas. But with the likes of Fletcher back and Hurd back firing on all cylinders, they are a side that you just don't want to face in the first couple of weeks of the finals.
No, that is exactly right. Depending where they end up, McPhee's been excellent in the first
and Lucas across the half-back line. I think they've got a really settled back line now, and it's been the springboard. And they just need Lloyd and Cupido and a couple of others in that forward line. I think Dean Solomon could be really important, Gary. He may have lost a little bit of edge in pace, and therefore down the forward line he won't be exposed. Now let's go down to the ground for another view on this game. Anthony Mithen.
Thank you, Jared. We've seen some sprays from supporters to coaches at half-time and after the game. Well, there wasn't one there for Peter Rowe as he made his way back out onto Telstra Dome. Supporters still behind the Bulldogs here. They're sticking fat, their fans, which is good to see. At least one positive out of a pretty black day.
90 plays 32 as we start the third quarter. Matthew Lloyd has 6 goals, all coming at the end that he's standing at the Lockett end of Telstra Dome. The first turn. Murphy tries to get past Hurd, one of the toughest players in the competition, and unable to do so. Ball up.
I suppose we will go back to Lloyd watch too. He had a magnificent first quarter, very quiet in the second, but no doubt he'll get back on the goal kicking list.
Peveril tries the volley. Oh, there we go. Should have headed that last one. Kept it going. Chance straight away from Mercury, who threw it out, but it comes out to Cupido on the right boot. The handball was on to McGrath, but Cupido wanted bigger things. Just kicked it out of bounds on the full.
Certainly was. Corey McGrath just sitting there on his own. A little bit of fancy footwork first from Peveril over to his good mate Jason Johnson. Back heels it.
West to Darcy in defence. Trailing by 58 points, the Western Bulldogs. Robbins, who's had the job on Damien Cupido.
Beautiful kick most times, Robbins.
And it was then, Jared, exactly. Now the run of Gilby through the middle, took a bounce, he straightens up, brings it back corridor, 12 plays for Brown. He had Fletcher on the ball, but he didn't realise he had such long arms. And they were able to get up there and bring it down.
I think the other thing that we underestimate with Dustin Fletcher, when you try and work out why he's such a good player, he's a very good judge of distance. He sums up the person with the football and just how far he thinks they can kick them. And he covers that distance almost perfectly every time.
Works the angles off and intercepts so many times.
He can play on the tall and the small. He's playing on Nathan Brown at the moment as well. You can put him on the biggest full forward in the competition if you wanted to without hesitation, as Sam Power sees it over the boundary line in front of the Bulldog and Bomber bench. We'll have another boundary throw in. And there's Jordan McMahon, Kieran McGuinness, Boyd and Burse accompanying that duo.
Very young.
And Dr. Gary Zimmerman with the unusual moustache sitting in the back row. Darcy over the top of Hurd as a throw, so the advantage paid here. Jim Syracuse and Eagleton combining. Works back onto his left boot. Good position of the ball here. Brown's got the good body position again. Couldn't get a second two at it. Taken off him by Lucas. Inside, one side, out the other. Cupido now with space.
And just lopes out after the ball, Damien Cupido. Decides to go with the right boot. Puts it high in the air, looking for Bullen, and, well, that was far too casual by Damien Cupido.
He must feel like he's in the land of the Giants down there at times, Nathan Brown. That time he was sandwiched between Fletcher and Lucas.
Beautiful play by Welsh, intercepted the kick. This time Cupido on the left boot. That's better. To Johnson, who was gone and off. held a fair bit of it, got it out to Hurd from 55. The Essendon skipper kicks a behind. And Hurd has now kicked 2 behinds for the afternoon. 3 minutes into this third term, 91 plays 32. And the first score of the third quarter goes the way of Essendon. They lead by 59 points.
Luke Darcy been stationed in the back half almost for this whole game. Now the match is almost shot. He needs to push forward, try and take David Hill forward and provide a strong marking target of some size and presence for this young dog team.
What about him taking the tap and then going to centre forward and skipper perhaps running around the ground?
Yeah, that or even just working forward during general play, Jared. I reckon at the stage now, which he is now, he's positioned at half forward.
Oh, Mark Johnson, that is stupid. That is silly, and I know it didn't on that occasion, but could have been worse had he made a better connection. Johnson, free kick down the field, short ball, finds Nathan Brown on the lead, but he's had to come a long way out, and this will test him. Johnson goes down.
Darcy has gone forward this time.
Brown plays on, didn't have the depth in the kick, and it's been marked by Alessio in the square.
There's a top spin of that one, and Mark Johnson comes to the bench for a bit of a chat with Kevin Sheedy as Haynes comes on. McPhee in the meantime brings the ball to McGrath, to Hurd, running through the middle of the dome. The kick was a floater, but a good one. Up to Peveril. Peveril looks up and sees Fletcher running past him. Goes to Mercury, then Fletcher over the top. It'll still sit for Solomon, will it? Gene Siracusa did well. Solomon wrapped him up, and umpire's given a free kick for in the back. And Daniel Gene Siracusa has earned that free kick, no doubt about it. In the meantime, Anthony Mithen's boundary side.
And Mark Johnson taken off the field after that silly act, Brian, and walking the boundary, looking up, the occasional glance up towards the coach's box. Not great body language from Mark Johnson.
Yeah, obviously the coaching staff realising there that it could have been a lot worse than it was, and they've jumped on it, so well done.
Yeah, no need. They're 59 points in front, and they've got bigger fish to fry over the next few weeks. Brown chips it back to Eagleton. That was Brown's 20th possession. Eagleton to Gene Siracusa again. The kick up the middle to Darcy, pushing forward as the boys have called for. Now where does he go? Wide. And a beautiful kick to Hargrave. He should run in and kick the goal here, Hargrave, and does. No, he doesn't. Nope, couldn't put it away. Hits the post.
Yes, Matthew Lloyd caught napping on that occasion. He just wasn't all that keen to push down with Ryan Hargrave. It was more playing for the turnover.
Kick back into play, Alessio. Look how free this run is here. Mercury just wanders past. Says, look, can you give that to me? No problems. Peveril, Walsh combining at half-back, just flooding down in numbers the Bombers. The beautiful delivery to Bolton. So many players there, they're confused which one they should give it to, and eventually cost them a half turnover. McGrath finds Alessio, who snuck forward, and Alessio decides to play on. He's feeling very confident about his game. Robbins did well basketball style to work the ball to ground. Let off there for the Doggies.
Well, it's almost come down to practice match level this match. The skill level of the players, the decision making, it's not up to AFL standard. It's just a cog below, and I think that's why Kevin Sheedy took Mark Johnson off. He's got a chance to try and teach him the lesson. He's just got to calm down 5% on the ground, because a couple of times he's made just that fundamental disciplinary error.
Nice mark by Sam Power. 10th touch coming up. Power transfers play. All sorts of trouble. Creniok did very well. Cupido spoiled him, but he recovered. He slipped as he took his kick, just bombs it forward, hoping for the best. At the fall of the ball, the skipper. David out to the right man, though, intercepted there. Lucas. Johnson was the interceptor. Alessio over the top. McPhee inside to Cupido. Cupido can go back to McPhee, dancing forward, coming back, fighting some space, a spearing kick up the hole. That was magnificent play by Matthew Lloyd.
We often rave about the Peter Hudson body use. He's famous for it in the world of AFL footy, but this bloke, he has got that uncanny ability as well.
He's a very strong young man, there's no doubt about it. And Cupido dancing forward and then back, just found a little bit of space. Speared the kick in, it was a beauty. So Matthew Lloyd, who has kicked 6 goals straight, all at this end. If he kicks this, it'll be to equal the record held by Simon Madden for goals kicked at the Essendon Football Club. The record at 575.
And how old is he? With many, many years to come,
He's 25 years of age. He lines up. to equal the goal-kicking record of Simon Madden at 575. In he comes. The kick is on its way. LLOYD's equaled the record of Simon Madden. 575th career goal, and Simon Madden looks appropriately nonplussed.
No, not that sure about it. Simon, no, he wouldn't care. He was probably one of the greatest ruckmen ever to have played the game. He just was good enough to go forward and kick goals. So it was Matthew Lloyd is a genuine full forward. So I'm sure that Simon would be happy to concede.
First goal since quarter time. First kick.
Matthew Lloyd with goal number 7. 65-point advantage for the Bombers. Record equaling goal number 7 of that Simon Madden had set. West, out of the middle, ball forward McPhee. McPhee waiting for the appropriate bounce, opening it Walsh. He can come back to McGrath, and that's what he elects to do. Through the corridor is the way to go here, although McVeigh this time was run down by Brad Johnson. And the free kick will be paid, there is no advantage. Brad Johnson would be right on his limits here to be able to kick this goal.
Essendon have kicked the last 5 of the game, Brian.
Can kick them if he's on the 50-metre line most times. The actual take-off point of the kick, and he's going to be right on that. Kick goes right to the line.
Good shot.
Maybe just there. It's a goal. Walsh is claiming the mark. The field umpire says all clear. And Brad Johnson has kicked his first goal of the day.
There's a terrific shepherd in the goal square by an unknown Bulldogs player. We'll come up with it, no doubt. But as you said correctly, Brian, Brad Johnson is able to travel the distance, but only just. And he needed some help on the goal line.
Where was David Hill? I guess that's the question you got to ask. Where was David Hill, the Essendon ruckman, while this kick was about to be had?
That says, we say that every weekend about ruckman. It just doesn't happen in the modern game.
Young Wiggins was the shepherder. So the end of a run of 5 consecutive goals to the Bombers as Johnson whacks one through from 50 metres. The margin back to 59 points, just under 10 goals. As Power breaks out of the centre for a rare clearance for the Western Bulldogs. Up it goes. Wiggins flies high. Off hands though. Welsh to Fletcher. He kicks it out wider still to Jason Johnson. He hands it over. Good play now by Haynes. The kick was a beauty to Bullen. Bullen on half forward flank. Looks up. Bird calls for it. Calls for it again. Was ignored twice by Bullen. He'll hear about that in the showers that we heard during the week. As Jason Johnson kicks towards Lloyd. One hand up, couldn't hold it. Pretty looks up and looks into trouble. Hurd just knocked the ball forward, did it beautifully. Hargrave under pressure. Hurd's got him. Play on again. Over the top, it'll spill to Hurd. Hargrave looks for the boundary line and scores a try. There'll be a throw in. James Hurd, 2, 3, 4 efforts there. That's why he's one of the great captains in AFL history.
Yeah, it was my thoughts exactly, Eddie. That's just genuine leadership. Game's shot, and yet his work rate for these 1%ers is still at the levels it's expected to be.
Ball comes out to West. Nice handball to Smith, who just stopped and propped and got it over the top to Power to Eagleton. Whoa, out to Smith. It stayed a long time in the air. Hurd, smother. Power, turnover. Haynes, guess who? Hurd's got it and got the first effective kick up towards Lloyd. Lloyd brings it to the ground. That was good discipline play as well, but Robbins will clear for the Bulldogs momentarily.
Did really well there, Robbins, and also with the kick for Murphy. Now they've got the loose on, but the skill hour lets them down again. It was meant for Eagleton, went straight to Pembrell. Gives it back. Standing start here, the Bombers. Long ball into Bolton. Robbins, third man up. Jim Syracuse tidies. Hargrave out the back door, and Power's got space downfield. Power, short ball into Rowan Smith, forward to the centre. He was off.
A bit lucky there, but good decision.
Yep, it was. He played the decision to play on, and then he was tackled high. And thus the resultant kick. Goes wide to Darcy. Darcy will want to drive the ball long. He looks for Brad Johnson on the lead. And Johnson somehow hung on to it.
Brian, we have sung the praise of Matthew
Lloyd. He plays on. Handball, sorry, Sheriff, to Wiggins. Wiggins couldn't quite handle the ball cleanly. Oh, boy. And Brad Johnson will get a second attempt here because Lucas has kicked it out of bounds on the full.
Dimotuna sprinted over to get it.
That is the reason that Brad Johnson shouldn't do those things. He is the class player. He kicks the goals.
Dimotuna getting around 100 metres to get that free kick. Does he like to have a shot? Now he doesn't do it in the end. He's kicked it backwards. Oh, they mucked this up again.
That's a classic. You give it to the goal kicker every time, Ed.
Yeah, it was certainly Johnson's kick, or the man that you'd want to have the kick from there was Brad Johnson. Anyway, the Bulldogs are just devoid of confidence, and Dimotuna's been dragged. Power kicks inside 50, an absolute floater. It's a shocker. That ball, if it's not flat, then I don't know what's going on. Comes out for Johnson, who gets a point. Bad bounce.
Well, Paul Dimotuna has been a fantastic warrior for this footy club. His time is coming very, very quickly. Jared, I'm afraid to say.
Ball kicked back into play as Jared ponders that one.
No support.
No, a lot of support there. You've got time now, Jared, if time was an issue.
Well, you're closer to the club than I am, Brian. I'd be interested in your view.
I think he was just over-enthusiastic there. There's a chance to get a kick, have a shot at goal, and then when he got there and got it, I think he thought, oh, hello.
No, it's not just on that basis. I mean, he's been terrific, but finding a spot where he can be of great value is becoming more difficult.
Look, I don't think it's a hard call to say that you give it to the goal kicker every time, and Brad Johnson would have been able to kick it from there. Tackle was polarising there on Jason Johnson. Was it Scott West who, yes it was, who tried to apply the initial tackle, toughen up. Leading the disposals in the competition at the moment, Scotty West. And he's certainly in line to win best and fairest number 5. Him and Rowan Smith, I guess, and Darcy. Ball up, 55 out from the Bulldogs' goal, off hands, Haynes, quick little kick out of the pack, looking for Mercury. Got one to beat here, Robbins, did well, kept it in, Gilby. What a hip and shoulder from Mark Johnson. Now go onto the phone to Sheeds now, Joe, and say, was that okay?
I think there might have been a bit of Kevin Sheedy in his mind when he delivered that.
Take nothing away from Lindsay
Gilby. He got up too.
Head over the footy.
You can hear that from up here.
That was sensational. From both of those players then, was just a great act, I reckon.
Good hard stuff.
Just want to take your task for Luke Darcy, your best and fairest candidate when we get a chance.
Here's your chance.
There it is.
One of the 3.
He'd be up amongst those 3, Luke.
Probably wouldn't be, no, he wouldn't be in the top 2.
What about Nathan Brown? He'd have to be up there. He's 46 goals.
Oh, they'd all be up there.
There's Darcy. That could be worth a vote as he kicks forward. Smith comes out as well. Johnson.
He'd be up there.
Johnson have to be in there. It's because they've got a team of champions. Why the 16th? Hurd kicks it out wide to McGrath. McGrath handles further on to Haynes.
Oh, Smith going.
Haynes.
Tell you what, there's a lot of good signs today for Mark Mercury. I saw him last week and he looked completely out of sorts, but today he's just running much better. And maybe there's a little bit of juice left in the tank yet.
And the good thing for Mark Mercury today, Jared, I think, is that he's run into position. In the last couple of weeks, or the last few times I've seen him, he's almost been that out of form that he's wanted to get out of the way of the ball as opposed to attract it.
6 Bulldogs stood around Sean Wellman on this occasion. Look at this. If we get a wider shot than that, you will count 6 dogs within 10 metres, and not one wanted to wander over and pick him up.
All on the leash.
Another Bulldog defender lining up for goal. Sorry, Bomber.
Wellman comes in.
That's why he's in the back line.
I was waiting for it. We haven't heard that one for a long time. Kicked it like a defender. And Wellman gets it behind. But well done, Mark. Sure, it's good to see him out there playing great football again.
They really need Mark Mercury yet to find his best form, or close to his best form, because the loss of Bram Manaskis, we know that's a real tragedy in its own right, but they need another running player.
Darcy, Haynes, McMahon. Good vision out the side to Gian Siracusa. Handball to the run of Crediok and over the top to Power. Good linking play here by the Dogs. Go on to Hart if he wanted. Decided to work back on his left boot. Now he's got to find a target. Harrison wanted it out in front. He had to work back. It wasn't a great kick. McPhee able to tackle Lucas there as well. Ball up. Dogs. Forward 50.
Another floater, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's just not getting to spin, are they?
No.
Kicking through the ball. Ball up, 15 metres out. Oh, there's a dangerous one. He took it out of mid-air. Quiggins. Umpire called play on. Fletcher transfers play. That's a beautiful kick. Out to Welsh. Welsh has a bounce, runs to half back, kicks up the wing. Here's Mark McCurry up against Gilby. McCurry dipping, ball ends up there, pushed off beautifully, then laid it off nicely to the running McGrath. From 50 metres out, McGrath has a blind shot at the goal for the Bombers, and it's offline and through for a point. One of the rare build-up goals, attempted goals for the day.
No, the standard hasn't been sensational since the first quarter, but I think they are pretty well able to do what they want at the moment, the Bombers.
What happened there?
Just the 2 goals kicked in this quarter. The Dogs, Eagleton and Smith combining. Smith has to come to the ball and then turn himself around. Slots the pass and finds Robert Murphy. Should kick into the corridor area to Power. Combines now with McMahon. McPhee's speed was great to run down the speedy McMahon, and Wellman flies uncontested. Takes the easiest of grabs.
Speaking of blokes having good years, Sean Wellman is in terrific form.
Look at this, the Bombers are just lining up. It is very much like a training field.
You talk about uncontested possession. There was a record amount last week, Melbourne v the Western Bulldogs. I reckon this is going to give it a nudge.
Absolutely. There hasn't been I can't recall a tackle for the last 3 passages of play. As the ball's kicked forward by Haynes out towards Lloyd. And here we go for the record, boys. Matthew Lloyd takes a mark in the forward pocket at the appropriate Tony Lockett end. To the greatest goal kickers in the history of the game. In fact, the 2 greatest goal kickers, Tony Lockett and Gordon Coventry's name adorn either end of Telstra Dome. But on the green grass of this surface, no one has kicked more goals than this man. Lining up to become, in the proud history of the Essendon Football Club, the greatest goal kicker ever. This for his 576th goal. He's kicked 7 this afternoon. This for goal number 8 and the record. Congratulations, Matthew Lloyd, the greatest Bomber goal kicker ever.
And how entirely appropriate as you get a shot there of Simon Madden, who gets a I don't know whether that is a congratulatory shake of the hand from Kevin. Oh, it's Kevin Morris, isn't it? Lisa Lloyd there, and the whole Lloyd family very, very happy with that achievement. But a big round of applause going around the crowd, but this is just, he's not even halfway there to where he's going to end up this way, Matthew Lloyd.
Well, the crowd certainly knew it was a record. Nothing on the big scoreboard here. A little bit there now. And a record by Matthew Lloyd, the all-time goal-kicking record at the Bombers. He's kicked 8 today, has Lloyd. He's kicked both of the goals in this 3rd quarter. He kicked 4 in a row in the 1st quarter, and he's had a wonderful day.
And the margin's 11 goals.
576. He is well on target to finish well over 1,000, and it is very fitting, of course, that he be the leading goal kicker at Essendon.
Oh, that's
Jason Johnson, the umpire, going back to explain himself now. Lloyd again the intended target, this time it's knocked away. Hargo's done reasonably okay considering the form Lloyd's in. As Cupido tries to arrest the ball off him, McCurry did well with a little nudge to keep the ball alive for the Bombers. He worked really hard there, McCurry. Murphy picks it up, bangs it down there towards Boyd. Should have turned around and competed for the ball. He didn't. He left it for Power. So Hurd at the back gobbles it up, gives it off to Walsh. Look at the players out the other side here for the Bombers. They are fair dinkum lining up. McGrath, little hander, and then kick to Jason Johnson, who marks solidly.
Made a change down there, Brian. Credihook's gone back on the Lloyd, and Ryan Hargroves, who I think you're right, has done a really good job on Matthew Lloyd. He's pushed out onto Bolton. So maybe they've just been caught out a little bit, the Bulldogs, because they've stretched them again.
Jason Johnson to line up in this lackluster 3rd quarter. The margin a massive 66 points. Jason Johnson directly in front, close to the man on the mark. Lets it launch. That's a goal. Bombers have kicked 2 in a row. Kicked 3 for the quarter.
Well, the resistance isn't there, let's be honest, from the Western Bulldogs, and Essendon have been fairly methodical in the way they've gone about this. They have sometimes they've had too much time on their hands. I think that's been their problem, and they muck around with the footy a little bit too much. But when they do go along with the wreck, they're always going to be a chance. Just wonder with these sides down the bottom of the ladder, we've seen Melbourne get bowled over. Richmond got spanked last night. The Western Bulldogs coming to the end of the year, Jared.
Too long.
Ball up. Mitch Hahn gets the ball out. Up towards the full forward position for the Western Bulldogs. A quick in and out of the 50. Peveril gets it going out to Haynes. Haynes on the left boot. Another tumble punt going forward. You've got to be careful saying that. Out it comes to Crediuk. Out to Hargrave. Will kick up the wing. Good play to Gene Siracusa. Decides to have a bounce. There was a pass on. Now the pass goes. And Johnson takes the mark.
You know why you always go the harder option. You're dead right. Matthew Boyd was on there.
Yeah.
Should have gone to him.
Murphy can put it up. Here's Darcy. Darcy flying. A tall forward option for the first time today, and Darcy gets the free kick.
It's exactly right. And you just can't get away from the fact that you need a tall option up forward. You can finesse occasionally and get away with it with the smalls. But as the game gets on and the midfielders get more tired and under pressure, you've got to have a go-to player in a go-to position.
And they get a bit nervous, Jared. I mean, there wasn't much in the free kick, but all of a sudden the defender hasn't got the confidence to fly and do what he wants because he's got a big body there. So they grab a hold of it, they get a bit desperate, and you do pick up a couple of cheap throws.
Yeah, they don't get any smaller as they get tired. And here comes Luke Darcy. Kicks the goal.
Well, it's no secret that they would be very much on the outlook for some big players, but they've got a couple of younger ones, Brian, in the twos, and of course they'll get Bandy and Grant back. So perhaps it's not the desperate situation as looking at this structure would suggest.
Yeah, Bowden's playing in the resis, of course, and you've got the likes of Patrick Wiggins who's playing here today. He could come good for them as well. And Wade Skipper. Bombers in this game at the moment by 66 points. Darcy gets his first. Ruckwork, Skipper. There is one of those young players in the middle. Jason Johnson bouncing like a pinball off a few shoulders. Out to Boyd and Burst combining. Around the corner was a nice bit of finesse shown there by Burst. Nathan Brown looks for Darcy lead. He's got Mitch Hahn long. And his man went up well under the ball. Brown will now go short and find Darcy directly in front. Too far out though, I would think, by just a couple of metres for Luke Darcy. Gives it off to the run of Nathan Brown around the back from 55 metres out. Brown launches a long ball. Nathan Brown's got two.
And it is amazing. It's easy from up here, but any forward line needs an axis about which it can revolve. And they haven't had one, the Bulldogs. You put Darcy down there and all of a sudden it just brings other players like Nathan Brown into it. They've got a pivoting point and an anchor, if you like, all of those sorts of words, but they have now got some structure up there. And what have they sacrificed? They've got Wade Skipper in there gaining some experience.
So the margin back to 10 goals. And Luke Darcy suddenly has become a forward influence. And that man Wade Skipper, Brian, tell us a little bit about him. He's from West Perth, but has shown a bit the last couple of weeks.
West Australian boy, yeah, had a bad injury during the year and has just come back, played a few games down at Werribee, got his way back into the side. He's a high-leaping, high-marking player that just needs to get a little bit of confidence, but he eventually will play the key position at centre-half forward, centre-half back.
Picked up at pick 70, a very good pickup there in the 2000 draft in his 9th game of football. He's 196 centimetres and 85 kilos and just 20 years of age. So he's got a lot to look forward to for the Bulldogs fans. Wade Skipper. Welsh in the meantime. One of the young Bombers from West Meadows kicks up and Crediuk takes the mark for the Western Bulldogs. Concedes some ground to Robbins. Has to go wide out to Murphy, and Murphy will have to stop because there's nothing on up further. Now Hahn gives him an option.
He's got a good head, Murphy. He's got a really good football brain.
just didn't panic at all, did he?
No, sums up situations so well.
Jordan McMahon down to Darcy, one-on-one. Darcy, but he got chopped off. The two big Essendon players got back.
Look at the kick again.
But the kick was a shot.
Humbler.
Gave him no chance whatsoever. Johnson inside to McPhee. McPhee can run and have a bounce. Now he does. On centre wing. Handball's way. Good play. Lucas, 60 metres out. Long kick to the square. Lloyd's back. So too is Jacobs. And Danny Jacobs comes on and takes a big mark.
Came on for Mark Bolton, who just came off for a spell. There's the difference. He's got Lucas kicked it long, 50 metres long, and in the air. At the other end of the ground, the ball tumbled short. Didn't give Luke Darcy a chance at having a crack at it. And now Danny Jacobs, this becomes a very difficult kick. Cannot go off the mark, of course. Can't go offline, so right foot up.
He's kicked one for the year. Danny Jacobs lining up. The margin is 10 goals, just to make it 66 points. 61 points, he's hit the post.
Yes, well, in the end, just a little bit of structure back in their forward half. The Bulldogs there were able to score a couple of goals. That fellow there, Ryan Hargrave's done a pretty good job on Matthew Lloyd since being moved onto him at quarter time, kept him to 2 goals, but there is still a quarter to be played. 8 goals to Lloyd. The Bombers are 17-11, 113, 61-point leaders over the Dogs. 8-4, 52.
There's no need to hide. We're safe tonight.
Last week on White Line Fever, Luke Hodger, hopeful Hawk.
Let's still not count our finals.
Mixed memories of 3 centuries.
That's a good 20 years of football, so the body will be hanging out for a rest.
Saint star Robert Harvey.
My body's feeling great, so I'll definitely play next year.
And the legend Lynch.
You're playing on great players every week with Dunstall and Lockett and Ablett and these sort of guys, so you learn a fair bit.
Monday, Bulldog Brad Johnson and Russell Green join me live to take your calls. That's White Line Fever, 7:30 Eastern.
La-da-da-dum. Your Telstra home phone now has a new free way to take messages. Telstra Home Messages 101. It takes messages if you miss a call or the line's busy. To turn on or get your messages, just dial 101.
Don't touch that orange bottle. It's my hair removal spray.
Telstra Home Messages 101. It's free. Dial 101 from home to turn it on.
You watch our show, League 2?
I do, yep.
You describe the panel with one word. My Shane?
Parrot. I'm going to deliver now. Just like lift it over.
That's all right.
You know what's happening. Look at that.
Russell Green?
Knowledgeable?
I would know if you stood up my porridge. Yours truly.
Superstar.
Yes, that's 2 words that we're taking as one.
An exclusive interview with the hard-hitting reporter John Barnes.
Fox League Teams, live Thursday nights, 8:30.
I'm not gonna stand here and wait. I'll hold on to the wings of the eagles. Watch as we all fly away.
Welcome back to the Telstra Dome. A little wink and a congratulatory handshake from Simon Madden there at 3/4 time. Matthew Lloyd becomes the leading goal kicker in the history of the Essendon Footy Club. He kicked his 576th goal in that 3rd quarter. And the Bombers 61-point leaders at three-quarter time. He now has 8 for the game and some unfinished business still. Simon Madden, of course, the leading games record holder at Essendon, third in the competition. A great player in his own right, three-time premiership player, and a nice touch at three-quarter time, Jared.
Well, yes, it was a great moment. And whilst it said a lot about Matthew Lloyd, the fact that he has become the greatest goal kicker, it also said an amazing amount about Simon Madden, one of the all-time great ruckmen, but he kicked so many goals. What a player he was.
Superstar, in fact. Let's go down to, well, is he a superstar? Let's find out. Anthony Mithen down the boundary.
That, Gary. A couple of little niggly injury worries. Cupido is going to start this quarter on the bench. He finished the third term on the bench after copping one right where it hurts. He's still a bit ginger. And Murphy had a little bit of work done on a hamstring, and Solomon a little tight through the back as well. Both those players will start out on the field. They'll see how they go and test them out.
Could you just find out from the umpire on the boundary whether or not they're supposed to blow time on when a player is having a shot for goal?
We'll check that straight away, Jared.
To start this third quarter, the Bombers by 61 points. Skipper, fourth quarter in fact, Hurd, McPhee, 40 metres out. It's going to be a fast start if he converts, and he doesn't. Just a minor score there, just a minor blemish there. 61-point advantage going into this fourth quarter of the Bombers, and now extend that to 62.
Good crowd in today, 36,138 on a sunny Sunday afternoon.
Oh, it's good work there by Eves.
Was too. Took a good mark. Now he plays on, runs in and out of trouble, had to get back on the left boot. Nathan Brown has been sensational today. There's been no doubt about that. It's been a tough old day for Nathan Brown, whether up forward or in the midfield. This will be his 24th possession. He's had 14 kicks, 9 handballs and 11 marks.
Well, his biggest net of possessions this year is 27, Ed, in round 14. Been a long time since he's had a run on the ball like he's had today.
Well, that was his 12th mark, in fact, and this is his 24th possession. It could be his third goal. Touched right on the line, just missed on the journey by the minimum margin.
And interesting, the goal he kicked in the third quarter was from inside the centre square. He kicked it with a lot of momentum. He whipped around the back of Luke Darcy to get a handball and was really running through the football. I reckon it's something, particularly on those long shots, that he's going to have a go.
The Bombers in defence. Messing around with it a little there. Lucas gathers control now. Kick around the body is really good to Wellman, a centre-back. This is just the 9th time this season that the Bombers have kicked 100 points or more. Mercury over, drawing handball to McPhee. And half-forward centering ball. Solomon right on top of his head. Going to have to work hard. Did well in the air. He marks. But Mark Johnson on the pocket. Not now, though. And Solomon from directly in front will have to kick at 55. Jacobs had space in the pocket. He wants Lloyd, though.
Jacobs standing right. Yep, like Lloyd like the lead to.
So Lloyd only has the option to pull it long, and he's got the city of Matthew Lloyd. He takes him along. And he just set that up beautifully, Matthew Lloyd. And I'll tell you what, it was good thinking by Solomon as well. He could see the one-out battle.
It was like having your best mate up the other end of the playground, wasn't it?
There's a lovely, nice setup here. Certainly a very difficult kick.
I think he'll go for the boomerang. I saw him talking to Danny Jacobs just after missing that one at three-quarter time. So I expect he'll go for the boomerang. He gets plenty of chances to practice them, of course.
Yep, now he's kicked 8 goals. He'll kick the 9th goal here. The best day by any player this year is 9 goals, 2 by Fraser Gerrick. This to make it 9 goals for Matthew Lloyd. The left foot banana. Got a little bit too much work on it. Hit the post.
Even the best get a bit nervous when they get on those really tight angles, close to goal.
From that ball, have a look at the kick out. Was a shocker. It was smothered by Bullen. All sorts of trouble. And Johnson comes in. Oh, nice smothered by Purdy.
Put that on the highlight reel.
That'll be under the title, How Not to Play the Game.
Yeah, exactly. The Benny Hill music.
There's one
there.
Here comes 2. There's the fumble. And finally, 3.
So the Bulldogs decide to go long on the second occasion. Robbins means full measure and kicks it high in the air. Good luck trying to mark that. Jordan McMahon, it was punched. He was front and square, but it bounced off his snoz. Comes out the back to Lucas. Lucas sets it high in the air. Haynes has been a nice find for the Bombers over the last couple of weeks. Kept it in play beautifully. Over the top to Mark Johnson. Now over to Jason Johnson. Back to Mark Johnson. to Jason Johnson. Johnson and Johnson and Johnson and Johnson to Haynes from 50. A little kick inside was magnificent from McPhee. And Haynes did very well. They took that from half-back, kept it in play, and then delivered it to McPhee for a shot at goal from 25 metres.
Yeah, this bloke's had a terrific year, just keeps on getting better. And when you're a young player, that's all you want if you would be Kevin Sheedy. Just constant improvement. Now he's a running machine across half-back.
1 goal, 1 for the day, McPhee. This will be his 19th possession. Of course, recruited from the Fremantle Dockers. Originally, though, from Narre Warren. Today's 44th game of football. He was picked up at pick 39, or at least by Freo originally, before being traded last year. In he comes for his second goal. And gets his second point.
A couple of players of that size, the Bombers, who are going to hold them in good stead. Mark Bolton, I'm really impressed with Bolton's ability to play both ends of the ground, not just filling holes either, being effective forward or negating back if the need arises.
Eagleton to Crediop, inboard, McGuinness had to get rid of it quickly, could see McVee bearing down on him. Skipper wants to knock it out, he had support around him, and they're all camped in front in the 180-degree vision. He should have moved it out to them.
Brian Moss, we've got a break. A bit of confusion about time on when players are shooting for goal. They've played it both ways. Anthony Mithen, you've got the answer.
Yes, once the umpire's called time off, he should then call time back on. But if they don't, the timekeeper will anticipate that the game is ready to start again and will start the clock in the absence of the umpire doing the right thing and technically letting go with the whistle.
Right answer, wrong question.
Welsh, if you can understand all that, as Lloyd marks and the line up for goal number 9.
What's the clock, will you?
I tell you what, we could devote a whole game to talking about that and sorting out that answer there. Anthony Mithen, one of the more spectacular.
Who wants to be a millionaire? That would have been answer E.
Well, it would have been for $1 million too, I reckon.
Wow, gee.
So what you're saying, Mitho, or we won't drag Mitho back into this, it's at the timekeeper's discretion, really. Just going to make up his own.
It's got to be the umpire's discretion.
Jared was calling time. When is it originally called that?
Boys, just turn the clock on and just let it go. Just let it go. And
the point being that it was stopped there for a fair while, but in the third quarter it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Lloyd for goal number 9. In he comes. 45 metres out on a 45-degree angle. Lloyd lets rip and he's got 9.
Sitting out of the meeting in Mensa are going to have a look at that answer from Anthony Mithen and see if they can decode it for us at some stage. But Matthew Lloyd is having an afternoon out. In fact, he kicked 6 in the first quarter, so he's just added another 3. But again, this last quarter isn't finished, and that is a very classy mark. But Brian Hargraves would be he'd be reasonably pleased with his efforts today.
Well, the all-important percentage at this time of the year, getting a very big boost here this afternoon by the Bombers. They now lead by 70 points. Lloyd has 9. Mark Johnson around the body. Off hands, here's a chance for Hill. Oh boy, this is becoming an absolute belting. Hill was tackled though, released the ball. Robbins out wide, taken by G and Siracusa.
Now just watching Anthony Mithen down the boundary line, explaining that to Jason McCartney, who's sitting with him today. As soon as the camera come on, he shied away there, Mitho. Up goes Darcy, knocks it down. Smith gets a chance in a minute. Hahn stepping out of trouble nicely. Eagleton, centre wing. Will drive the ball long to centre half forward. Brown on the lead. McPhee jumps high and marks. Straight down the middle. The Bombers ready to attack. McGrath. Brown still down behind play. The handball wide to Mercury. Got lots of space and time in front of him. The double-handed bounce. Have you ever seen that? That's double dribble in basketball as Murphy marks.
And that's a turnover in both games. Murphy looks up, finds Darcy. Spilled the beans. Back to Murphy, and that's gone. No, says the umpire. No opportunity. All right, we'll have a ball up 55. Have a look at this.
He nearly should have gone to Matty Lloyd the first time. He just got caught in a bit of indecision from Mark McCurry.
At the Solomon, the handball came from Mark Johnson. Eagleton just got a fingernail on it. Pushing the back and a free kick to Robbins. he hasn't been the Bulldogs' worst today by a long way. Robbins looks up and it's all one-on-one. Every Bulldog player is manned up by an Essendon.
Well, the run stopped, hasn't it?
Murphy got away from Hurd, just got 10 metres on him. Did it well, got it back to Harrison. Harrison's high up and under. So 50-50 contest. Harms just got across the front, got a fingernail on it as well, but it came out the back to McVeigh. This time it is Lucas, and suddenly the Bombers are running loose everywhere. McPhee decides to go long, looking for Lloyd. Out he comes against 3. Good play by Smith. Off the ground. Gene Siracusa. It's the handball working to West. And now Smith for the Bulldogs.
Smith, the transfer of play, it's dangerous. Murphy's going to have to fly. He did against Hurd. Brings it to the ground. It was really well done by Robert Murphy. He was under the pump big time then. Now he streams forward. Can he finish off his work to Brown? Couldn't mark in front. Wellman did well. Brad Johnson will give it to Brown. Brown will pick it up. He almost fell over. And kick his first goal. Good play, Robert Murphy.
Fantastic effort by Robert Murphy. The kick was ordinary. He realised that he was under a lot of pressure, had the ball turned over, and was good enough to win the footy. So, and then this kick here was pretty important too. Skipped it off centre, and then Brad Johnson, who would have got a free kick, that played advantage. Nice pick up off his toes by Nathan Brown. Kicked his third. But a pretty good effort from Nathan Brown. He's won some footy in the middle of the ground, a lot of it actually, and also kicked 3 against pretty good defence.
So the goal to Robert Murphy as James Hurd comes off the ground to a fine ovation, and so he should, to Nathan Brown rather, from Robert Murphy. And James Hurd, 21 disposals, 6 marks. Pretty good afternoon for the Essendon champion. By the way, Essendon's percentage has gone up 3.9% so far. We'll keep you updated obviously with all this, but it's important for the Bombers and puts them now up ahead of Fremantle by a considerable margin. So it's very important for them as they have the run home to September, the Bombers, and maybe a top 4 position. It's Bullen now for the Bombers, who kicks it up towards the forward 50, off hands. Mercury couldn't quite grasp it. It spills now to Mark Johnson, 55 out, he puts it to the hot spot. Lloyd goes back. Did he have it? No, says the umpire. What do you think, Jerry?
I thought it was a grip.
Well, he might get a second go here. The look-away handball was good, though, from Brown to Murphy. He kicks it out the centre wing. Harrison has to mark, and nearly does. He split the beans. He's dropped it. Now he gets some support from Gian Siracusa, who can run. He'll need to, because there's no one inside 50. The kick up the line was over the head of Wiggins. Out comes Johnson now. Johnson quickly turns around. Was he tripped? No, says the umpire. Dragged to the ground. Good tackling by the Bombers. And have a look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4 Essendon players, and just one Bulldog. Well, the ball up 55 out from the Bulldogs' goal.
And that's one way of getting the boys to concentrate on the footy.
Yep, just throw it up. And it does beg the question why they don't just do that all of the time.
Couldn't agree more with you, Brian. Just going back to Lloyd Mark, did he control?
Look at this.
For a split second.
He got nothing forward, had to go backwards.
Nathan Brown, kick to Wiggins against Fletcher. Over the line, boundary throw in deep in the attack for the Bulldogs, yeah. And the umpires, when there's a bit of a skirmish going on, are very happy to come in and throw the ball or bounce it up very quickly. Just do it every time.
And if they did it every time, that would stop the incidents of people getting run into and things as well.
Ball back into play. The Bulldogs just trying to regain a bit of pride here in this last quarter. They're playing for not much else. West and Peverill going it off the ball. Ooh, West didn't like what he received early, and this is going to turn into something a little more interesting.
I think Peverill the one who seems to have taken exception. No, other way around. Oh, either way, they're not too happy, either boys.
Yeah, I don't think anything was landed though, so nothing to worry about there for either. A little bit of...
Oh, well, good decision from Justin Fletcher. Thought about whacking one off the ground, and then the only bloke was going to get hurt there would have been him, I reckon.
Yeah, could have easily a need to be done there. Gene Siracusa coming in from 45 metres out. He kicked 2 in a row for the Bulldogs, and he has missed. And Siracusa now has 1 goal, 2 for the afternoon.
I think Danny Jacobs was pretty pleased that Justin Fletcher pulled out. He would be still floating over the Boldy Bridge.
Long ball by Fletcher, looking to even up with Jacobs there and give him an opportunity to mark. He couldn't quite hang on to it. Creddy Hawks in there, and just a little bit of feeling in the latter stages of this game now.
Been a pretty tame affair, really. I mean, these two teams, Western Suburbs, rivals as Damien Cubido gets some work done. He's been off the ground for some time, a bit sore. But no, it's been a pretty tame affair.
63 points the advantage at the moment for the Bombers. Boyd missed the handball. He heard the call from Dimittina, but the target no go. Wellman dishes to Lucas. Low, quick ball out right, finds Haynes, who's been impressive again this week. Finds McGrath in the corridor, just forward of the centre circle. So the Bombers' skills have been pretty tidy. Now the kick to Lloyd on the lead, and he marks. He'll have to kick it a long way though. He'll have to kick it all of 54 to 55 metres for goal number 10, which would be the biggest bag of goals this year by any player. It's been a day of records already for Matthew Lloyd, and a chance to continue that.
The contract that Essendon have got with Telstra Dome, I'm not sure what it is, but I reckon Matthew Lloyd's enjoying it. He loves playing on this ground.
9 goals won today, Matthew Lloyd. In he comes, not beyond him this. Had a big day today, kicked 6 goals in the first quarter today. This one's going! Going! 10 goals for Matthew Lloyd. And look at the Bomber fans celebrate.
Well, there is the Lloyd family, wife Lisa, and sister Kylie, mum Bev, and neighbours and family and friends have come along to watch him break the record today and now celebrate becoming the #1 goal kicker in Essendon's history with a bag of 10. He's done it in emphatic fashion. He hasn't taken 2 or 3 weeks to get across the line. He's just smashed it. And it's been a pretty awesome display by Matthew Lloyd.
A wonderful display of goal kicking. The only player to have kicked 10 goals at the Telstra Dome was Matthew Lloyd back in round 6, 2001 against the West Coast Eagles. He's equalled it today in this historic match. Historic because it's the Heritage Week, and historic as far as Essendon supporters are concerned because it is the day that Matthew Lloyd became the greatest Bomber goal kicker of all time. 10 goals. Needed 8 to get Simon Madden's record. Well, he's done it easily in the end. 6 in the first term.
Free kick.
Free kick paid, and it'll go the way of Johnson.
Done a good job though, Mark McVeigh. He's been a solid performer all day. He's limited Brad Johnson.
Johnson thumps it up to the hot spot, hoping that somebody can take a mark for the second time for the day. Here's a chance. Hahn gets the goal, and it's 63 points Essendon's way.
Bit up to get too excited, even when you kick a goal, when you're that far down on the scoreboard. It just reflects the afternoon for the Western Bulldogs. But a good effort there by Mitch Hahn on the back of some good work by Nathan Brown to set it up on the wing.
And you said McVeigh on Johnson, that has been a great effort by him. He's kept Brad Johnson to 9 possessions for the afternoon, which is his lowest for a long time, I'd imagine.
So the Bombers by 63 points. Nathan Brown's best performance this year with 28 possessions, surpassing that of 27 in round 14, so he's had plenty of it. Ball in the meantime for the Bombers. Hill toggles at forward. Murphy puts himself in front. Runs away from Lloyd. He'll look to receive it again through the midfield. Eagleton thought about it. Could have given it. Decided the better of it. Goes to Darcy. Disputed contest there. Don't know what the free kick was for, but the advantage will be paid hopefully. Boyd, the umpire's blown his whistle a couple of times, says, okay, bring it back. I made a mess of that. Free kicks, 20 for the Dogs, just 8 for the Bombers. How's that? Bomber fans not happy. Dimittina marks at half forward, driving left foot kick into the hot spot. Wiggins has got to jump at the ball and not continually be manoeuvred out of the way like that. Run and jump at the ball and back yourself. Instead, he preferred to have the feet firmly planted on the Telstra Dome surface.
It's been one hell of a belting for the Essendon Bulldogs. We've focused a lot on Essendon, rightly so, but this has been a smashing. They're playing like the bottom of the ladder side.
You're coming off a good win last week too. You come out today.
Yeah, I mean, there were some people who gave them a real legitimate chance this afternoon against the Essendon club.
Those people.
Anyone else? No, there was. There was a feeling around.
Yeah. That should be a free kick to Essendon because he grabbed it out of the ruck, and it is. Him being Wiggins, and the free kick going back to Fletcher. puts it out wider still to Mark Johnson. He can run inside to Welsh. There's still time for Lloyd to get the record here at Telstra Dome, of course. Still 6 3/4 minutes. Almost the mark taken by Bullen. Calls play on Murphy's been very good again today. Over the line and out of bounds, says the boundary umpire. Throw in. Just on the Essendon side of centre wing.
68 points, the biggest win of the year for the Bombers. It was recorded against the Saints in round 14 on this ground. So that is under some threat.
So a goal by Matthew Lloyd will give him the ground record and also season high win for the Bombers if they can do so. And it comes out the back door to Murphy for the Western Bulldogs.
Murphy slides the handball sideways to Brown, who's got plenty of it today, and he says it's time for a bit of a spiral here. Kicks up to Hahn. Not the most disciplined piece of play. Haynes at half-back. Marks receives. Gives McVeigh the run. Done a great job, as Gary mentioned, on Brad Johnson today. Kick in board finds Wellman. So the Bombers will make it 4 in a row. 4 wins in a row as Lucas Marks uncontested. They've got Richmond next week, Fremantle, and then Collingwood. What a game that'll be, with plenty hanging on it in the last round of the year against the Pies. Richmond, Fremantle and Collingwood, the next 3 for the Bombers. As Lucas lines up with a sloppy attempted goal, but Hill drops in the front and marks the ball on the end of the 10-metre square. On the other hand, the Bulldogs have got Fremantle at Subiaco Oval next weekend.
Ouch.
It was a real tumbler, that one, Gary. And you would think at a ground like this where there are, well, today there's very little wind getting into the ground, you would think that it'd be better than that. But
it's been actually all afternoon. There's been a large percentage of kicks that haven't even spun right.
Malcolm Blight had the theory that you could get the occasional off-footing. The stitching was poor, but I don't know where that theory ever went.
It's a job from Mytho at the final siren.
Just brace it down, Mytho, if you can. As Hill goals for the Bombers.
Hard to judge today, the Essendon Footy Club. I mean, they have been, well, they've absolutely smashed the Western Bulldogs. Their marks inside,
they're on the move.
25-8, their marks inside 50. Their form in recent times would suggest that they certainly are. And, well, this might be just the tune-up they need.
I reckon the reason on the march is Bolton and Jacobs are going better. McGrath, Bullen, McVeigh, and a number of others.
Herd's up and about.
So smiles all around from the Essendon medical staff after what has been a very traumatic week for the Essendon Football Club with Adam Romanowskis' injury and illness problems. So big day out today. They've kicked 20 goals, which is always a good figure to get. 10 of them kicked by Matthew Lloyd. And we've still got time for him to get an 11th. Just inside 5 minutes to go in the game. Bombers by 69 points. And it comes towards Darcy. Ball bounces awkwardly, running over the top of it was Welsh. It's been picked up by McMahon. McMahon goes inside. The kick was an ordinary one. Good play by Brown, just paddling it in front of him. Did it well against men. And we'll have a bounce 40 metres out, pretty much directly in front of the Western Bulldogs. And 29 disposals.
Have a look at Robbins here. The hard contest, and watch him bounce up with the tackle as well. Landed really heavily and then bang up with the tackle. It was a great effort, wasn't it?
Fantastic effort. 29 disposals for Nathan Brown and 3 goals. It comes out to Gene Siracusa over the head of the pack. It bounces the wrong side for Bulldogs fans. And he's now kicked 1 goal, 3.
Well, I mentioned the Bulldogs have got Fremantle next week at Subiaco Oval. Take a look beyond that. They've got St Kilda at York Park and Brisbane at the Dome here. So a tough 3 weeks for the Dogs to finish off with.
The Bombers, Brian?
And the Bombers over the next few weeks. Richmond next week, the MCG. Fremantle at the Dome and Collingwood at the G in round 22. McGrath.
And they're back in the experimental mode at the moment. Jacobs and Lucas both have gone forward.
Push off there by Lucas. Cupido, who's spent a long time on the bench. Gives it to Peverill, and the centering ball finds Bullen, who's been rather impressive today. Just under 4 minutes remaining in the game. A 68-point margin in favour of the Bombers, and Alessio has come to life over the last couple of weeks as well. He can go deep into the pocket and find McCurry. McCurry wants to play on. Thought about it, had a look at it. Door wasn't quite open wide enough.
The other great thing about these games for the Bombers, they're able to get some work into players who needed to get some game time. McCurry, one of those, also Alessio. And they've also been able to spell others who have just been nursing along a bit. Hurd, James City on the interchange bench at the moment. Pretty perfect afternoon at the moment.
McCurry converts. for his first. The Bombers by 74.
And great to see a smile on his face. Probably been times this year, Gary, when footy hasn't been all that much rewarding for him. And good work there by Scott Lucas just to keep charging through, and by Damien Cupido to share the ball around. But good to see Mark Mercury on the end of an easy one, but he converted.
Spent a bit of time in the VFL, have Mercurio and Alessio together. Mercurio and Alessio.
Mercurio was there too, Gus.
So a good day for the Bombers, because Fremantle trailing at the moment would see the Bombers jump to 7th position, and then a real chance to have an attack at the top 4 over the next 3 weeks. Jacobs conceding some ground back to Welsh. Out it comes to McPhee, who has been fantastic today until that moment. Cupido inside. Lloyd, maybe a chance. No, Hill comes out, presents. And the mark's been taken there by Daniel G and Syracuse.
Welsh is one we haven't mentioned all that much, but he continues to impress as a youngster with the Bombers as well.
Indeed he does. Burse and McGuinness combining. There for the Western Bulldogs has not been their day-to-day. They were banged out of this game in the first quarter when the Bombers piled on 9 goals, 3 to the Bulldogs, 2 goals straight. Lloyd had 6 to quarter time as Wiggins marks on 50. Can hoik the ball a little bit. Patrick Wiggins will line up directly in front, off a few steps. Kick on the way. Is just there and hit the microphone, ground level, but it's a goal for Patrick Wiggins, his first, following on from 3 last week.
Yes, he had a good game last week, Pat Wiggins. I think the Essendon side are a far different proposition to the Melbourne side they played last week, so as long as he continues to keep on developing, then the Western Bulldogs have got a player to work with. It's when they stop and start to go backwards is when you've got a bit of a worry. And that was an ungainly attempt at it, but very effective nonetheless. I watched McVeigh and Johnson. They've had a ding-dong go all day.
So the margin back to 68 points with Wiggins kicking that goal. 2 minutes left on the clock. We're all a bit Matthew Lloyd conscious after 10 goals this afternoon. He's not going to get one this time, as out of the centre comes Eagleton, and that's the way to do it. And Johnson takes the mark.
Mark McVeigh would be savage on that. He has been at it and at it, aggressively at it all afternoon, and I reckon he'd hate to see Brad Johnson just jag one through here.
There's a great shot of it too. You could just see that Johnson read it just a split second earlier.
Johnson comes in to get his second, and he does, and the Bulldogs go back-to-back goals and the margin to 62 points.
You reckon Mark McVeigh threw his mouth guard away in disgust after that? He might be 62 points to margin, Jared, but you just hate to have a goal kicked on you, particularly when you've taken the honours on a class opponent like this. And there's the look on McVeigh's face. Yeah, as this goal sails through, he just perks the old mouth guard in utter contempt.
Brad Johnson and Mark McVeigh, what a job McVeigh has done. Just letting him get away for his second goal there, Johnson. 62-point margin, down to the last minute and a half of the game. And I tell you what, the Bombers are back in 2003. They're going to figure very prominently indeed. They're on a roll. It'll be a 4th win in a row for them. Boyd at half-back to Skipper. Skipper marks at half-forward, chiseling little ball to Murphy, who marks. Too far out to score, perhaps, at 55 metres. Brown fella, he'll come again for the double lead. There goes Johnson. He wants to give it to one of the leaders. It's just a matter of which one can work themselves free. Now he goes the long ball, set up on the square. Wiggins will fly. Brown up over the top, couldn't quite grab it. 61 points there.
So the Bombers have the last roll of the dice, you'd think, in this game, with 50 seconds left on the clock. Jacobs ships it over the top to Bullen, who takes the mark and is taken to the ground. 50? No, says the umpire. 40 seconds left. Lloyd has kicked 10 goals. The record here at Telstra Dome is 10 goals, held by Matthew Lloyd. Still a chance. Haynes to McVeigh. McVeigh comes wide out to Welsh. No, but Harrison gets in front. Walsh gets it. Here's the chance. Here comes Lloyd. We're looking for the record. And he's got the mark.
Fantastic, Matthew Lloyd. What a fitting way to finish off what has been a memorable day in this young man's life.
After the siren, it'll be too.
Oh, it is absolute copybook finish. Beautiful lead, life disposal, lace out. Great hands.
Great Matthew Lloyd, after the siren, has kicked 10 goals, won this afternoon. He has broken Simon Madden's club record for the most goals in the history of the Essendon Football Club. This to become the greatest goal kicker in the short history of the Telstra Dome. He holds the record at 10. Kicking to the Gordon Coventry end at Telstra Dome. Matthew Lloyd looking for goal number 11 and a double record performance from 50. Has got the double record. 11 goals to Matthew Lloyd and the club goal kicking record and a comprehensive victory by the Bombers. What a trifecta! They'll be singing all night at Benny Hill.
Yes, there was a lot to like about the performance. So many of the Bombers put their hands up this afternoon. They've really taken place in the finals. They look almost certain now, Jared, you would think, the way the form they're in. 67 points the margin, and we can go Anthony Minton with that man. 11-goal hero, James Hurd. That's Matthew Lloyd.
Was just telling him too that you've broken the Telstra Dome record. You knew you'd kicked 10 here before though, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it did. It's good because we really need to win this game and to keep staying in the finals hunt and get as high as we can, and just fantastic to have a 10-goal win.
An extraordinary start to the game from you. 6 in the first quarter. Your family watching from the stands too. Did you do it for Rama? We've got to ask the question.
Yeah, no, I did. I told Rama that I'm playing this game for him, and I know he's watching back home, so hi to you, Ram, and we did it for you today.
Was it a tough week for the players leading into it?
Yeah, I've never felt so sick in the stomach for a player because he's such a great guy. It's just disappointing. You just ask your questions, why does that happen to such a fit young guy like Rama, but I'm sure he'll get through it.
And the record too, on a personal note, to take the leading goal kicker for the Essendon Football Club. Did you know that you were so close, or did you learn of it when it went up on the big screen?
Yeah, no, I knew because Simon and I have been betting on when it may happen, so it's been a bit slow the last couple of weeks, but it's something when I finish my career I'll be able to look back on and be pretty proud.
Who won the bet? Did Simon get the money?
No, I was a bit slower than he first thought, so no, but it's just great to have a win today.
Congratulations, well done, go and enjoy it.
Anthony Minton down there with the 11-goal hero, Matthew Lloyd. He's got the game ball. Yeah, James Hurd, the captain, went and grabbed it from the umpire, and
Johnny Barnes actually grabbed it off the umpire and gave it to Hurdy, yeah.
Well, they've done the right thing, and something tangible to remind him of this moment. What a great photo that is going to make on the front page or the back page of the sporting papers tomorrow morning.
Well, it's a fitting way for Matthew Lloyd to break that record. 11 goals, and he spoke of Adam Ramanauskas, who he said would be at home watching and dedicated that game to him. The Western Bulldog players still out there. Presentation
of the E.J. Whitten
trophy, exactly, for the Western Suburbs, of course, in memory of the great E.J. Whitten. That will be presented to James Hurd, the captain of the Essendon Football Club. A lot to like about that performance this afternoon. 67 points to the margin. Matthew Lloyd kicking 11 goals. Mark Bolton kicking 3. Bullock with 2. And for the Western Bulldogs, well, their leading goalkeeper was Nathan Brown, who had a very good afternoon himself. The Bombers in the 8. They are not going to give that spot up without a fight. When you've got players like Hurd and Lloyd, and certainly the Johnson boys were sensational today as well. Well, they are going to give it a fair nudge. Kevin Sheedy's where he wants to be. Hope you've enjoyed it. It was the Bombers today by 67.